It starts with a man screaming, demanding that someone kill someone. The guy didn't understand how it had come to this, or where he even ended up. The goblin said that the divine mountain would overtake a lowly human who invaded their sacred land. For thousands of years, the lands of the Beastmen had been isolated from the outside world, and for the first time in history, man went against them. It was a war. It began with the breaking of a treaty, which brought divine punishment upon those who broke it. Until recently, he was in a cave. The boy didn't realize if he was going to die in this strange world. 5 hours ago, Tsuyoshi had been told he was finishing his meal faster than anyone else. He had been told not to go anywhere alone, as there were 2 other teams here in addition to theirs. If he relaxed, he wouldn't even get a piece of metal. He wondered why so many people would go down to a regular C-rank cave. They are now living in a time where there are many like them and they are not the only heroes. In that instant, the man turned his attention to something unusual. Tim was told that they were getting ready, for the heroes were coming. The man confirmed that they were indeed coming. The closer he got to this cave, the more uneasy he became. If a C-rank cave is like that, he's afraid to imagine what an A-rank or S-rank cave looks like. It was strange, for there were several minions of darkness here. At that instant, some creature emerged from the portal. The guy in armor said that the reward would not be easy to get, and the girl next to him agreed. He thought heroes were so cool, and if he was a hero he would have earned so much by now. But he was asked to stop talking and reminded that he was cleaning the cave because he had failed the awakening test. The guy thanked them for their hard work and asked if they could come in now. The girl replied that of course they could. The guy's name was Tsuyoshi Chikashiro. After the heroes defeat the minions of darkness in the caves of the cleaners, known as garbage men, are not related to the heroes in any way and come to pick up the leftovers. They live in different places. He had failed the awakening test and, despite his weakness and thinness, he too wanted to be a hero. This C-rank cave is not that big. Great if they work faster, because they don't have much time. The cave will close in 4 hours. They're gathering here. In that instant, the man found something. It turned out to be a piece of shield. The boy said it was a good sign. There would be something worthwhile. He added that their parents from heaven had helped them. He thought it might be worth looking even deeper, but he was warned to remember that they were going in 3.5 hours. Usually something worthwhile lies in deeper water, so he decided to check it out. After 3.5 hours, the guy realized that there was nothing here, and thought it wouldn't be good to leave with just one piece of shield. At that moment he was told that it was time to go. The boy replied that he was almost done. It wasn't an easy day. It was the day Karina was in the hospital. He decided he had to find something. At that moment his gaze fell on the well, and he realized that there might be something of value there. Tsuyoshi didn't understand where a well could have come from in the cave. It was dried up, so there really could have been something valuable there. If he finds a survivor, it'll cover all of Karina's hospital bills. In that instant he noticed a ring at the bottom of the well. The heroes didn't seem to notice these remains. He quietly whispered an apology to the heavens. Tsuyoshi took the ring in his hands after all. He was glad that he had done so. The rare ring, which was a flexible equipment, helped improve performance and sold at a fairly high price. He had found the treasure. The boy decided that he would wear it. He will ask Mr. Nakazato to evaluate the level of the item. He has to hurry. He thanked the ancestors. In that instant he was very much surprised, for the ring began to glow on his finger. He didn't realize what the ring was. The voice announced that it was an infinity ring that binds its owner. From now on, he would not be able to remove it or pass it on. Soon the infinity passageway would open. The boy didn't realize whose voice it was. At that instant, some sort of portal began to form right in his hand. Tsuyoshi began to scream, begging to be helped. Then a bright yellow glow could be seen coming straight from the bottom of the well. The man didn't understand why Tsuyoshi was yelling. He hadn't come back yet. Even though he had been seen recently, he must have gone to look elsewhere. Too bad this guy couldn't be a hero. He tries so hard. They decided to wait for him, since they still have time. In that instant, Tsuyoshi Chikashiro began to be transported somewhere. Upon regaining consciousness, he found himself captured by the Beastmen as one of the criminals awaiting his divine punishment at the altar. Apparently, divine retribution meant a crushing lightning strike on the altar. Tsuyoshi didn't realize if he had really been sent to the sacred land of the Beastmen. At that instant, the Beast King ordered to begin. The creature stated that 3 criminals would be tried today, one of whom was their brother who had sold secret information about the Beastmen's territory to the elves and humans. Of course, everyone claimed it was a disgrace and called him a traitor. They could not escape divine punishment. The icy gaze of the divine king surrounded by lightning testified to their sins. No one had ever escaped from this altar known as the divine punishment realm. Everyone wanted the traitors to be punished properly. Next to fall under divine punishment was the first man who had broken their treaty and invaded the land of the Beastmen. Isolated from the outside world 1,000 years ago, he had declared war on them and would be punished for it. Tsuyoshi tried to explain that it was a misunderstanding and that he was here by accident. He begged for mercy, reminding her that his sister was waiting for him, and asked for help. Ogre ordered him to be quiet. Tsuyoshi realized that he couldn't die. Karina needed him and he was supposed to be a hero, but he still didn't understand how things had turned out this way. The Beastmen mocked him as an insignificant insect and assured him that mankind could not defeat the great Beastman. They called for divine punishment to overtake him. All with one voice demanded the punishment of the sinner. Tsuyoshi realized that he had no right to die, especially in a place like this. After that, the guy started trying to dodge the lightning bolts in every way possible. Everyone was amazed that he was able to dodge the lightning strike. Some girl was also surprised by this. The ogre was shocked that he had escaped the lightning strike of divine retribution, and considered it unforgivable. Some guy looked at him at that moment. Tsuyoshi called him a bastard and stated that he wasn't going to die here. Right after those words, he was struck by lightning. No one said that the lightning bolt of divine retribution only struck once. It's time for the next strike. Everyone cried out with one voice for divine retribution, and the girl at this moment declared that the struggle was futile. Tsuyoshi kept convincing himself that he couldn't die here. In that instant, the ring activated the divine selection system, the Ring of Infinity. The activation was completed, the system identified, and the perfect physical form began. In that instant, the ogre noticed something strange. He realized something was wrong with the guy. The realization came to him that Tsuyoshi Chikashiro was still alive. Creating the ideal physical form was 15% complete. No one could figure out what was even going on. The creation of the perfect physical form was 40% complete. The system activated the divine eye. Tsuyoshi felt something calling him. He literally started moving forward. In that instant, lightning continued to strike at him. The creation of the perfect physical form was 60% complete. The system applied the skill of divine consciousness and absolute cloning. Everyone, without exception, was amazed at what was happening. Creating the perfect physical form was 80% complete. It was unbelievable. Other than the Divine King himself, no one had ever come so close to the hammer. No one understood if he was trying to lift the Divine King's hammer. Tsuyoshi wondered if it was really the hammer calling him. He didn't understand why the hammer was calling him. The creation of the ideal physical form was 100% complete and the system activated the favored status. Tsuyoshi struggled to lift the hammer in that instant. Everyone present, of course, was stunned. Tsuyoshi finally realized that the hammer was indeed calling to him. At that instant, Tsuyoshi held out his hand. And then, right afterward, the hammer itself flew to him. Tsuyoshi informed the hammer that he had used its power. He recognized that he had obtained a divine hammer and reached the 3rd level. However, the current power of the divine hammer was 0% due to lack of experience. The special effects were unknown and blocked due to lack of skill. He should have become wiser to unlock the full potential of the divine hammer. The girl was amazed that a human was able to lift the divine hammer. Everyone wondered how an ordinary person could do this. It seemed unbelievable. They couldn't let him touch their imperfect hammer. Even the great Beast King couldn't lift this hammer. How could a human do it? Anyone who lifts the divine hammer becomes the head of the Beastmen. But this seemed like some kind of mistake. Tsuyoshi didn't understand why he felt he had become so much stronger. In that instant, he read that he had reached the 3rd level. He was amazed at the divine selection system. It was at that moment that some creature approached him. It called him a bloody man, and demanded that he dare not touch the divine hammer with his filthy hands. It was General Reda. Everyone was sure that he would not let the humans behave as they wished. They hoped that he would help restore the pride of the Beastmen. The general didn't understand how the man was able to escape divine punishment and even lift the divine hammer. But he stated that the hammer must be returned immediately, and man must accept his punishment. Tsuyoshi received notification of a new passive skill called Divine Eye. The skill allowed him to reveal detailed information about any item with 0 recovery time. Tsuyoshi was naturally interested in this skill. In that instant, he saw a brief description of the creature in front of him. His name was Reda. His status was General, level 84. His species was a Beastman warrior, a great swordsman. His weapon was a level Zanbato. The guy realized that with this skill he could see all the information about the enemy. That was probably the peculiarity of the system. Reda asked as the lowly man dared to oppose him. He added that he would let him die without agony. Tsuyoshi tried to explain that there had been a misunderstanding. However, he realized that he couldn't defeat a level 84 warrior. Reda ordered him to shut up and take the fight, but Tsuyoshi still tried to stop him. The girl realized that this man's fate was not enviable. The general was one of the 5 great generals of the Beast King and an incredibly strong opponent. Even among the Beastmen, he was considered capable of cutting a human apart with a single sword stroke. At that instant, there was an explosion. Tsuyoshi tried his best to dodge the general's attacks. He did his best to survive. The boy was surprised that he was able to block the blow, but he noticed that his arms were barely obeying. The hammer was incredibly heavy. The general was also surprised that the guy was able to block his attack while holding a hammer. He stated that Tsuyoshi was lucky that the hammer saved him, but there wouldn't be a next time. However, the guy still tried to prove that there was a mistake. Tsuyoshi repeated that he was not of this world and begged him to listen. Of course, the general wasn't going to listen to him. At that instant, he grabbed Tsuyoshi. He was going to finish him off using the earthquake technique. It was at this moment that Tsuyoshi received a notification that his passive skill, absolute cloning, had been activated. The skill allowed him to copy his opponent's abilities by touching his heart with his hand. The guy, of course, was interested in the skill. However, he did not understand what it meant to feel the opponent's heart with his hand. It probably meant something else. He had to touch his chest. However, in that instant, Tsuyoshi didn't touch his chest at all. Afterward, the general felt a pang of pain. Tsuyoshi began to tumble downward. The guy didn't understand how he should choose a skill since there were so many of them. The general asked what he was even doing. After that, Reda accepted Tsuyoshi's challenge. Tsuyoshi received a notification of a new skill called Heaven Shaker. The skill had a recovery time of 360 seconds. It was suitable for war and could be used with a hammer, but its degree of power remained unknown. Tsuyoshi received a notification that the Heaven Shaker skill had been successfully copied. He reminded himself again that he couldn't die here. At this moment the general looked at him in bewilderment. Everyone was amazed at how the guy was able to utilize his skill. After that, Tsuyoshi attacked the general. Everyone, without exception, did not expect such an abrupt turn of events. The general's face as he watched was the only one that could be pitied. He noted that it wasn't painful at all and even felt good. The notice said that being at level 3 without profession or weapon, he was unable to damage the enemy, so he needed to improve his skills to increase his effectiveness. Tsuyoshi Kakishiro didn't understand why this was even happening. The general claimed that the fellow was a miserable man, and wondered how he dared to attack him. After saying that, the general naturally began to attack Tsuyoshi. At that instant, someone appeared in the air and ordered them to stop. From the reaction, one could tell that it was the Beast King, and everyone was surprised that he had personally joined the battle. The girl was also surprised. At that instant there was another explosion. Tsuyoshi tried his best to resist the shockwave. At that instant, the Beast King fell to his knees. Of course, everyone was greatly surprised by this turn of events. He stated that it looked like the Divine Hammer had chosen this particular guy. The gods gave him a sign. In thousands of years, this was the first time the hammer had chosen someone. He explained to his brothers that no one could lift the divine hammer except this man. Everyone at this moment just stared at him in surprise without saying a word. If he truly became the future ruler of the Beastmen, they should let him develop. However, the prophecies claimed quite the opposite, for he was not one of them. The general reminded the king that the boy was human. The king asked what it mattered. He questioned whether the prophecies said that the leader must necessarily be a beastman, and emphasized that they could not ignore the hope of their people. At this point, the general agreed, noting that the prophecy didn't say anything about that, but added that the guy wasn't a beastman after all. The king inquired of the lad his name. Tsuyoshi introduced himself, and the king said that if the guy was willing to take on such a responsibility, he agreed, but he was too weak right now. He should get stronger in a year and come back. Then they'll decide if he's worthy of being their leader. If he doesn't return in a year, the king will use that mark to find and kill him. He asked if people were happy with that outcome and what his response was. Tsuyoshi stated loudly that he agreed to those terms. The girl started screaming for him to get stronger and gain his freedom. Tsuyoshi realized that this girl should be punished, but he decided to use the divine eye skill first. All that was known about her was that her level was 72. She belonged to the Beastman warrior, dagger species, and believed that it was better to live life without missing out on the opportunities granted by the gods. Tsuyoshi was surprised that she was level 72 and pondered why she was to be punished. He looked at her with a slight smile on his face. Afterward, he thanked her. Tsuyoshi realized that the girl was right. This was his opportunity, and he must survive to return to his world. Tsuyoshi said he accepts the offer, but with one condition. The king wondered what condition he had in mind. Tsuyoshi replied that the girl should go with him as he could use her. The girl was extremely surprised by such a statement. Now they were even, judging by the voice he heard then. It all started because of the infinity ring. He couldn't take off that ring, and thanks to it, he had strange powers. Now he wondered how to get back to his world. Someone called him master and informed him that the preparations were complete. The protagonist was surprised to hear this. The girl explained that she had decided to serve him and called him her savior. He was incredibly pleased to hear the cute beast girl with the ears call him master. Tsuyoshi replied that it was nothing. After all, she had helped him too. From that moment on, he offered to support each other in the roles of master and servant. He didn't realize how much this second chance he'd given her meant to her. No one had ever thanked or defended her before him. She begged him to let her call him master. He had become her miracle and she wanted to dedicate her whole life to him. If she wants it so badly, she can call him master. She noticed that it was time for him to go, as it was quite late. The girl warned him to watch his step. Tsuyoshi sighed at this moment. He realized how amazing this new world was. But then he remembered his sister who was waiting for him at home. At that moment, he received a notification that the endless passage was inaccessible and the recovery time was 24 hours. Tsuyoshi remembered that he had entered this world through the endless passage. If he could go through it again, he might be able to return back. He wondered if he would be able to return when the passage opened again. He was sure he was finally coming home. At that instant the girl turned to her master. Tsuyoshi noted that the sensation was unpleasant. At that instant, Tsuyoshi opened his eyes. He couldn't tell if he was back home, but he noticed he was back in the well. The abilities he had acquired in the other world stayed with him. The level remained third, but why was the hammer still with him? The notice stated that the characteristics are available in both worlds, but to use items from the other world, they must be placed in the divine consciousness inventory beforehand. If the levels were synchronized, it was possible to increase them in both worlds. He was able to transfer the hammer to this world because it had been placed in the divine consciousness inventory. However, it was still unclear to him what this had to do with his current level and status. At this point, the man asked what was wrong and told him to get out before the cave closed. He also asked why they had been waiting for him for hours. Tsuyoshi didn't understand what was going on. After all, he had spent at least 5 hours in another world. Something was obviously wrong here. The man explained that he had been in the cave the whole time, and said it was a good thing he had found it, otherwise he could have been trapped. Tsuyoshi wondered if that was how it had turned out. Perhaps time has stopped here. He couldn't figure out if time really didn't pass while he was in the other world. It was reminiscent of a manga plot. But did time stop in the other world too? Who did the infinity ring belong to? In that instant, Tsuyoshi remembered something and was asked what had happened. Tsuyoshi wondered if the wake-up test was already tomorrow. The guy was walking in the rain with blood on his face at that moment. He carried the girl on his back. There was real chaos all around him. Right in front of them at this moment was some sort of creature. At this point, his sister told him that she couldn't feel her legs. She asked if mom and dad were okay. At that instant there was another explosion. The guy stopped abruptly at that moment. Naturally, he trembled with fear. He didn't realize what was beginning to happen. He started screaming, calling out for mom and dad. Then he burst into tears. After that, he ran forward on emotion. Someone turned to him. The man told him that he could not stop or he might die. The boy tried to explain that his mom and dad were already dead. The man told him not to follow them or the darkness would kill him too. He urged him to calm down, telling him that he couldn't defeat the darkness. However, Tsuyoshi couldn't accept it, because mom and dad were still there. The creature continued to do whatever it wanted. The man noted that Karina's legs needed to be taken to the hospital as soon as possible. My sister asked if her brother was really going to take the wake-up test, since he had just gotten home from work today. She was told that she had been very caring as usual and advised to get more rest. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro asked how she was feeling and if her legs hurt. The pain from the nerve occurred regularly, so she had to take medication. But the girl claimed she was fine, even though she could not stand up because she was used to the pain. Of course, Tsuyoshi understood that his sister was suffering. Divine Eye activation revealed that 80% of the nerve endings in her legs had died under the debris. Recovery naturally impossible, and there was only a 1% chance of regaining the ability to walk unaided. The chances of recovery were extremely low, but Tsuyoshi understood how hard it was for her. Karina was supposed to live a normal life, going to school, having fun with friends, traveling, spending her days with a smile on her face. She was his only family. He didn't want to see her suffer anymore, and even if the chances were close to zero, he would definitely put her back on her feet, because at least there were still some chances. There must be some way. If he becomes a hero and gets more information, maybe he'll find a solution. And it wasn't just his sister's illness. He wanted to live a decent life. So he decided to become a hero, the strongest hero. Group Bravery Test, TGT, Awakening Test. Level 3rd, Combat Power 540. He was congratulated on being a hero now. He was asked to take the heroic emblem created from the test results. The boy laughed, saying that he was now a hero. The mom proudly said that it was her boy and wished him to reach the C rank. In honor of that, they decided to throw a big party. Next was Tsuyoshi, who had failed the test earlier. He was asked to go inside and put his hand on the measuring device, though he doubted the results would change. The head instructor said they would figure it out soon. If he failed the test once, the result is likely to remain the same. The device measures the data with high accuracy. The instructor noted that he had met many stubborn people like him before. The last of these candidates had a level 3 with a combat power of 3. It was quite normal. Now Tsuyoshi had a level 3 as well, so he should have been a hero. But the question was how high his combat power was. Of course, this was to be taken seriously. The perfect physical form was activated. At this point, even the floor began to tremble. The man didn't realize if it was an earthquake or something else. Tsuyoshi continued to hold down the button. Measurement results. Level 3. Combat strength of 5,400. The 30-year record of level 3 heroes' strength was broken, and Tsuyoshi ranked first in combat power among level 3 heroes. Second place belonged to a hero with a combat power of 930. Tsuyoshi realized that his performance was 10 times higher than the second place. He felt a surge of strength, but he hadn't expected to become so strong. Either way, everything was going according to plan. He was going to be the strongest. The instructor expressed interest in what the strength of the King Divine Hammer was. Tsuyoshi had a lightning bolt appear on his arm at this moment, and he received a notification that due to a number of reasons, the potential of the Divine King's hammer could not be fully utilized. Forcing it to be used would result in a huge consumption of energy, and the duration of use would be 1 second. In his current state, he could only use it for 1 second, but that should have been enough for measurements. Tsuyoshi decided to check how much his combat power had increased. Tsuyoshi said they could start. He activated the power of the King's Divine Hammer. The notice reported that when using the King's Divine Hammer, all of Tsuyoshi's energy evaporated in the blink of an eye. He asked for a quicker measurement of his vitals. He wanted to know how much his combat power had increased. At that moment, an earthquake started in the whole city and no one realized what was happening. Because of this measurement was not possible, an energy reset occurred. The reset caused the power to go out and required the immediate evacuation of everyone in attendance. The man, of course, didn't realize who this guy was. He realized that he had underestimated him, and realized that he shouldn't use the King's Divine Hammer until Tsuyoshi became stronger. There was one problem, however. He is now officially a hero. On the training ground, the man introduced himself as Gaia, the hero in charge of their training. The man immediately warned them that the training would be difficult, so they should give it their best. He was a level 9 warrior with a combat strength of 1200. Everyone marveled that they had gotten such a mentor. Tsuyoshi Kikishiro was surprised that the man only had 1200 at level 9. I wonder what his combat power would be at level 9. The man reflected that instead of training these rookies, he would have preferred to explore the D-rank dungeons. The man informed them that they would not be going out to the D-rank dungeon tomorrow. While going through it, they will realize which job suits them best. It might even be dangerous for them to choose low-level items. Pasha's boyfriend asked if they shouldn't get a little practice before going down into the dungeon, because they should recognize their profession. The man replied that they didn't have time for that. Hero status requires them to build skills in real combat. He warned that the training would be difficult. If they're not ready, let them leave. There are no questions, just following orders. Tsuyoshi realized that the man was taking his anger out on them. After all, heroes are people too. For what it's worth, there's a level 72 beast maiden waiting for him in another world, and once the infinite passageway opens, he'll go to her. Tsuyoshi's apartment. The news reported that the earthquake, which occurred around 7 p.m., caused power outages in some neighborhoods. Fortunately, there were no casualties. All right, it's time. It's time to go to another world, where he will become stronger, choose a profession and collect the right equipment. Tsuyoshi began to open an endless passageway. Tsuyoshi found himself here again. The view remains the same, and even his clothes were the same. It seems that once he returns to this world, time and equipment remain. The girl asked the master if everything was all right, for he had completely forgotten about them. He replied that nothing of the sort had happened. Well, let her lead him. She was glad to see him so enthusiastic. There are level 3 goblins nearby. He wouldn't want to practice a bit. Even though their level is not that high, they are cunning and lecherous, so he must be extremely careful. If they are lecherous, you have to be careful, especially with her. Knee joints. It was as if he had entered a fictional world, would be with her patiently waiting for the divine selection system to show its effects. Great. The first targets were bought. Careful he doesn't wake the goblin sentries. Tsuyoshi said that with her level 72, she could easily defeat them. Her combat power is 630,000, which was expected from level 72. The girl asked how he knew her level. He replied that he had become her master for a reason. She could show him how high-level heroes fight, but if she helps him, he won't get experience points. The difference in levels is too big. Tsuyoshi asked if that was such a rule. He wanted to see her in action, but she was embarrassed. If he was so insistent, she could try it. She didn't know how useful it would be, but she told him to watch carefully. The girl was the first to attack. She easily dealt with the first goblin in her path. Tsuyoshi was surprised that level 72 had such movements. It was very cool. The girl said the master was very kind. She always gives her best, even with low-level opponents, and hopes it helps him. Tsuyoshi said that would help a lot. Could she teach him the technique she used? Instant strike is a skill for high-level warriors, so she wouldn't be able to train him. Besides, he hasn't chosen a profession yet. Tsuyoshi said that in that case, he would become a warrior too. But in the end, she was with him. With a level 72 warrior, he can easily copy her skills without worrying about his own profession. But since he can't use the king's divine hammer, he must find a replacement weapon. The girl was surprised that he had chosen the profession of a warrior. She would try to be useful to him. It will help him level up. You need to pick up the equipment first. Tsuyoshi thought about the world he had fallen into. The other goblins at this point noticed the change and began to prepare to attack. When they saw their dead comrades, they realized it was an invasion. Tsuyoshi said that it looked like he would have to deal with them alone. Have her lend him the dagger. He wants to try something. The girl tried to explain to him that it was unwise to attract attention that way. Tsuyoshi realized that he hadn't fully tested the power of the Heaven Shaker yet. They would be his test subjects. Tsuyoshi sighed heavily at this moment. Immediately afterward, he began to attack them. After that, he launched an attack and defeated them. The girl was surprised that he defeated one-level goblins so quickly. With difficulty, even a team of 6 heroes would have been able to do so. The chief king said it was easier than he thought. He'll deal with the rest of them. He was beginning to like the divine selection system, and had reached level 4 in just one night. The girl apologized for the inconvenience and offered him the use of the weapon. At that moment, the protagonist held out his hand. He got a wooden baton and told her not to worry. This baton wasn't so bad either. He needs to get his hands on some basic gear soon, because right now he's practically defenseless. The protagonist turned his attention to her. He realized that without proper gear, he would be too susceptible to attacks. He needs good weapons and armor. By the way, he managed to find out something about the Divine Consciousness Inventory. The Divine Inventory of Consciousness is a place that exists in one's consciousness, independent of the real world. Unlike the ordinary inventory, items from the Divine Inventory can be used in both worlds. Right now he only has 2 slots, one of which is occupied by a hammer. Apparently, the divine consciousness inventory would improve with his skills and levels, and the slots could increase. He would like to throw away the hammer because having only one slot was too inconvenient. Objects and armor are divided into 5 types. The girl didn't understand, or had something on her face. You can't resist a beastie with ears. I wonder what other species exist in this world. The protagonist said it was fine and decided to make sure she was following him. At that moment she told the master that something was behind him. The protagonist came back to watch. Of course, they were goblins, only already level 4, and they hadn't noticed the woman. The further they go, the stronger the opponents become. Let him be attentive, so the experience points they earn will also increase. Let them stay out of the way or he won't get the experience. The protagonist began furiously attacking them at this point. After that, he began to attack the first enemy in his path. He was really moving very quickly and confidently at this point. He easily defeated his first opponent. After that, he began to gain experience. He realized that the higher the level of the enemy, the more experience points he earned. But the weapon was too fragile. The girl realized that the master had incredible strength. He wielded the wooden club as if his level was much higher. He defeated 3 enemies at once despite the difference in levels. The deeper they go, the higher the levels and more enemies. However, Tsuyoshi's strength makes their numbers irrelevant. The skills are good, but the weapons are terrible. There are 6 of them left. The protagonist expected the bonus points in this world to be so high. He is getting stronger much faster. When he worked as a scavenger, heroes often complained that the experience of level 3 and 4 kobolds barely reached 10. If you rarely entered dungeons, you couldn't level up. Furthermore, the Hero Alliance requires a solid team for dungeon descents, and the experience is divided equally. The guild is collecting everything for themselves. Maybe they should join too, since all the dungeons have already been cleared. When can they level up? But in this world, he would be able to earn experience for killing snow monsters. That was incredible. The hero wondered how he had leveled up so quickly. At this rate, he would have to fight a boss. At this point, the main character was hiding behind a rock. He didn't realize if the goblin boss was standing in front of him. Unfortunately, the boss was possessed by the darkness. The protagonist is interested in this. He realized that there was darkness in this world too. There was darkness in their world too, and he wondered if it was the same here. The dark goblin looked just like the one that had killed his father and mother. Maybe it was him. The girl, for her part, explained that enemies possessed by darkness are dangerous. This boss is level 6, but because of the darkness, his power increases exponentially. Darkness not only has power, but her very essence is shrouded in mystery. She will deal with the boss, but the protagonist said it wouldn't be like that, and he would deal with him with his own hands, either now or in the future. He didn't know what darkness had to do with the others, but he would definitely kill all those who had killed his father and mother. The girl tried to talk him out of it at this point. The protagonist didn't listen to her anymore and started attacking. The protagonist at this point held the thought that the darkness had ruined Karina's life. The main character was hit very hard at this point. He then simply fell a few meters away from his opponent. The protagonist realized that his plan had failed. He was trying his best to get to his feet at this point. Regardless, the boss started attacking the guy. Still, Tsuyoshi managed to hurt the boss a bit. At that moment, a girl came up and said something about the master's weapon. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro didn't understand, or if the darkness was trying to kill him, he wouldn't let the creature that took his parents' lives kill him too. A completely physical form was activated at this moment. Tsuyoshi clenched his fist. After that, it started to get a lot bigger. If he doesn't have a gun, the power is concentrated in his right hand. It is incredibly tense, so let him be careful. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro said that if he didn't have a weapon, his body would become one. After that, he was really getting bigger and bigger by the second. In a split second, he attacked his opponent. Tsuyoshi threw such a punch that he punched his opponent through. The girl, of course, stood watching him at this moment. The blow was very powerful, as Tsuyoshi punched a hole in his opponent. After that, Tsuyoshi just stood there. Tsuyoshi had a level up and said he would exterminate all darkness. The girl at that moment said about Tsuyoshi's hand. Notice. His arm was badly wounded. Threat of necrosis. Tsuyoshi realized that he had used too much power. Note. Since he has concentrated the power in his right hand, it will not be able to withstand the energy load. After that, the protagonist simply began to lose consciousness. The girl catches him, and Tsuyoshi says his arm hurts. Don't let him worry. She has a first aid kit, An hour later, at this point, the two creatures were playing with each other. The main character woke up and said he felt much better. Recovery in this world is much slower, but more efficient. Perhaps the pharmacology of this world is very ancient. The girl was glad that her medicine had helped him. Tsuyoshi said he was feeling much better. After that, the girl informed them that they could go for the reward. Tsuyoshi had completely forgotten about it. Notice. He got the reward. He broke the record for this boss in the cave, and instead of a partial reward, he received a full reward. The girl said it was a treasure chest of darkness. This type of award is quite rare. It's even hard to find at auction. His labors have finally been bought. What a beautiful world he had fallen into. Tsuyoshi finally opened that chest. Notice. He had gotten a dark goblin set. The girl said that they were lucky to get a whole set. It would come in handy in the future. But at that moment, Tsuyoshi was thinking about something. He had only one slot left in his inventory and was asked if he wanted to keep his inventory. Tsuyoshi Kakishiro was wondering if a set counted as one item. If he puts it in his inventory, does it take up one slot or what? He added the Dark Goblin Kit to his inventory. He can use it at any time. Tsuyoshi was glad that it worked. The girl noticed his reaction at that moment and asked why he was smiling like that. Tsuyoshi decided to reply that he was just admiring the award. And by the way, does she know how to sew? The girl was happy to hear his question and said that she had been sewing clothes since she was a child, so she had a sewing kit with her. After that, Tsuyoshi and the girl sat in the field at night. The girl said it was done and asked the master how he was doing. Tsuyoshi put on his clothes and said that everything turned out great. She is happy to serve him. Now that he's upgraded, it's time to go back. Tsuyoshi said they should stop here for the night to rest. Of course, the girl didn't mind. At this moment in another world, the portal opened right in the room. Tsuyoshi landed right on the bed. He was glad he was finally home. They struggled to find a place to stay. They had to wait until she fell asleep to come back. He got a lot of useful things this time. But he can't stop time in this world. One must sleep. Tomorrow he will go into the cave for the first time. The next day, the Dark Goblin Kit was in his inventory. Did he want to wear it? Of course. The protagonist pressed that he wanted to wear it. He's wearing a Dark Goblin Kit. Special skill set. Roaring Tentacles. When this skill is activated, all low-level enemies are subjected to a loud scream, and the user's hands turn into giant tentacles that deal lethal damage. It was incredible. There was a special skill here. Tsuyoshi realized this was going to be fun, but he can't show this costume to the other characters. Unfortunately, the heroes kill each other to steal equipment, and if they see a newcomer in a suit like that, they'll be suspicious. Recruitment effect. He can camouflage his mining gear, but is he willing to camouflage his clothes? Tsuyoshi Chikashiro laughed. He realized that it was an excellent suggestion. It was close to meeting time and a snack was needed. At that moment, Tsuyoshi realized he had a phone call. He was asked if he was the brother of Karina, the head nurse. Some people broke into the hospital and demanded money, saying she owed them money. Tell her to come quickly. He had to take out loans to pay Karina's hospital bills. Why did they come after her if he was paying everything on time as agreed? He told the nurse not to let them touch her, and not to take the landline. Tell them to get here soon. At that moment, Tsuyoshi broke his phone with anger. He realized he had to rush to the hospital. After that, he opened the door and left the room. At this point in the hospital, the girl asked that they wait for her brother, and asked that they not touch her, asking what they wanted her to do. Some man told her that there was a reason for this. Her brother owed them money and had not given it back in due time, so they would take her away. They agreed to take her because the boss liked the girl. She'll be worth a lot on the market, and the fact that she couldn't walk would please the rich. He added those terms to the contract without her noticing that he was talking nonsense. He would take her and do whatever he wanted with her, just like before. The girl was sure her brother would never have signed such a contract. They'd been tricked. Too bad they're not interested in her brother's payments. When is he going to pay back the principal? The man grabbed her face and told her to just no. If she agrees to do it nicely, they'll spare her. But if she says no, don't let her take offense. At this point, they continued to abuse her, and nothing portended trouble. Just in the next few seconds, the main character appeared. He said they were all preparing. He stood looking at them at that moment. They, of course, took notice of him as well. The girl noticed her brother and was happy to see him. The man told them to watch who came to see them. What's he mad about? What's the deal? Why does he even need such a pathetic sister? Before he could say anything further, Tsuyoshi quickly attacked him and knocked him out. The man then began to fall to the ground, spinning around. Tsuyoshi increased the physical strength of his legs and his movement speed increased. The man simply collapsed before he could even do anything about it. One of the men ran towards the boss, while the other attacked Tsuyoshi. He called him a freak and started attacking him. Tsuyoshi was carefully watching his movements at this moment, but after that, he just punched him in the stomach. His arm literally twisted at this point. He called him a piece of shit and said no one had ever beaten him before. Does he want to defeat the Blue Snake Gang? The man started shooting and told Tsuyoshi to get it. Of course, the girl began to worry about her brother, but to everyone's surprise, Tsuyoshi simply caught that bullet in cold blood with his bare hands. Of course, the sister was greatly surprised by her brother's skills. No one could believe he caught a bullet with his bare hands. After all, he was a hero. He had increased the physical strength of his hands. Now they were not susceptible to normal weapons. Everyone was very startled when they realized that a hero was standing in front of them. A nurse at the time called the police and said some men broke into the room and started threatening the patient and her brother. At that moment they entered the ward. They told Tsuyoshi Chikashiro to pay back his debt as soon as possible. Otherwise their boss wouldn't stay away. They apologized for calling him out. After that, they started saying they were leaving. He's a hero. Damn, we should report this to the boss. Their boss is a level warrior. Not easy to take him down. Tsuyoshi apologized to his sister for rarely stopping by. They said Blue Snake would come back if they didn't pay up. All this time he had been dealing with debts, but now he had become a hero, so there was nothing to worry about. Sister asked if he was really a hero. Tsuyoshi said that all of that was true, but for now, he was a rookie. He'll be officially recognized as a hero when he goes down into the cave today. He borrowed $60,000 from Blue Snake Panda to treat his sister. It would take a long time to earn it. Even with a hero job, we'll have to sell all his hero gear. Today, the hard times are over and he will officially be a hero. Guy asked if everyone was ready. Today they will see if they are ready to be heroes. There are a few rules. First, they must return all the hero equipment they find in the cave. Tsuyoshi heard about it. The Hero Alliance just seems to turn a blind eye to it. He thinks there's nothing of value in the low-level cave anyway. As for the test, don't let him worry. He'll go with them. He's a level 9 warrior. Let them examine his instructions and everything will be fine. As a thank you for his labor, they should pay him 20,000 yen each. When asked if they realized this, certainly not through them, they said yes. Tsuyoshi raised his hand and asked why they should pay him if they would get all the equipment from the cave one way or another. Then they wouldn't have any money left. The guy behind him told him to keep quiet better, because the man was from the Crazy Wolves Guild. Tsuyoshi realized that the guild was covering for him. Now it was clear why he was so brazenly asking for money. But Tsuyoshi still wasn't going to pay such a person. The man said it's his rules. If there's no money, let him take the test alone. What kind of idiot is that? He doesn't care about his provocations. What do you mean alone? Said the others. No one has passed the test alone yet. Even the strongest heroes won't go to the cave of the clubs to argue with the examiner for some 20,000. In that case, he will be tested alone. The man asked if he was serious. He must have gotten something mixed up. Let him run a background check. No one has ever taken the test alone yet, even though it's a C-ranked cave. It's incredibly dangerous for beginners, the man said. Tsuyoshi Kikishiro thanked for the advice. He had already decided. Let him go. He wished good luck, and at that moment he thought Tsuyoshi was crazy. Test confirmation. Trainee Tsuyoshi sent in an application to take the test alone. Cave type, forest, level, C. Recommended number of participants 5 or more. Recommended power 600 or more. He only saw the caves after the heroes had cleared them out. So this is what they look like. Just at that moment, a creature appeared behind him. It immediately attacked Tsuyoshi on the head. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro asked if it was unexpected. He said it didn't affect him. It was a dark goblin. Its combat power was 640. He realized that his opponent was quite strong. But compared to his power, he was annihilated. Tsuyoshi knew that in this world, the experience gained from defeating real enemies was different from the experience in the other world. It's amazing that it takes the hero so long to pump up his level. He told the others not to hide and attack him. Immediately after saying that, all the creatures following him started attacking. Tsuyoshi immediately used roaring tentacles. After that, he began to fight them all at the same time. Its tentacles could be seen a great distance away from him. The man said it had been almost an hour, and if he'd been there that long, then everything was going well. He was such a fearless rookie, for no one in their right mind had ever taken the test alone. Soon the boys would be in the papers. The results of the single test have been updated. Tsuyoshi passed the test. Tsuyoshi came out to them and asked where he could take a shower. The portal was still open. Gaia said that if it wasn't for him, they would have all died. How did they become heroes without even basic skills? The 20,000 he was asking was still cheap, but he himself told them, "I will not be hindered," so they refused his help. Wasn't 20,000 enough? Besides, it was the first time they had entered the cave, and they had not even given them any instructions. Why is he freaking out? Let him be glad he passed the test at all. Let it be reminded that at this level they should be paying him 40,000 in the first place. He lowered the price so he wouldn't have to listen to their whining. At this point someone dialed him and told him he was listening. Let him closer to the court. He was busy. Gaia was very much surprised when he found out that the main character had passed the test. He had read that it was impossible. How did he do it? Let him answer. I mean, he's only level 4. The man asked. Or he was using high-level gear. None of the newcomers took this test alone. The protagonist asked, but that doesn't mean it's basically impossible. Perhaps the whole point was that otherwise he would have had to give 20,000. Guy asked in a rage, or is the protagonist mocking him? Let him answer. He was a member of the Crazy Wolves Guild. The protagonist asked, or with a 6th-9th level combat power of 1200. It seems like his guild isn't that strong. Of course. After these words, the man became furious and started asking who he even thought he was. How dare he insult him? After that, the protagonist stopped his hand. He asked if he wanted to hammer him and kill him with his level 9 fists. His speed and power. He can't believe he's level 4. Gaia was intimidated by the guy's strength. That's when he drew his dagger. The protagonist told him to wait. The man asked what he was hiding. When Tsuyoshi had the defense effects of the Dark Goblin set activated, plus completely physical, he couldn't understand how his dagger simply broke against Tsuyoshi's skin. He started to ask if the guy was hiding some gear, assumed it was high-level armor. The protagonist realized that he had accidentally revealed his abilities. You should not reveal your secret to the people of this world. Gaia, awfully confident, started asking the guy what he had there. Probably something good he found in the cave or stole. Tsuyoshi said he was so scared. There's no way he would have gotten out without that general. At this point, someone came to them and apologized for waiting. The man told Tsuyoshi Chikashiro that here was his certificate. He was now officially a hero. The guy replied that maybe he could. He'd be right over. He was his savior. It's not like he's going to make a scene in front of the staff. Gaia remained silent, but just looked with a murderous gaze at Tsuyoshi at this moment. The protagonist felt this gaze on him even from the back. The system has made his combat power much higher than the average level 4 hero, but combat with high-level enemies is still difficult. At that moment in Tsuyoshi's house, he realized that he seemed to have caught Gaia's attention. There were no beast girls with ears in this world, and his level was still low, so he had to be careful from now on. At this point, someone was sneaking through the night. The man asked, was it here? He was answered that when he broke the doors, have him immobilize him with magic. It was a member of the Crazy Wolves Guild. He was level 10 and had a combat power of 3,500. As it turned out, it was Gaia, and he was saying that they would soon have the treasure he was hiding. Keep it down, because the guy might hear. First, they will break the chain with magic. The man began to use the flame. Before they could fully open the doors, the protagonist broke them down and appeared before them. He told the man he would be a bastard. After that, he began to use the Heaven Shaker to attack the man. The protagonist noticed that Gaia brought a level 10 mage behind him. The difference in levels is too great. Combat power is one of the metrics to judge a hero's ability. His is 6,400, but his level is too low. He could win despite such a big difference. His opponents can make up for the low level with their level's combat power. It's like a low-level warrior fighting a weak high-level boss. The protagonist wondered if he should rush into battle, relying only on his skills and equipment. If he fails, he's finished. The man wondered if he was trying to fool him. Luckily, he had strengthened the defenses of his cloak. He would kill him and take it all for himself. After that, the man started using fire. Tsuyoshi, of course, was hot. The suit is immune to physical attacks, but not magic. Fighting a goblin was much easier. The protagonist realized that he had to run or he would lose. He'd rather focus on improving his legs. With the Dark Goblin's defense, he'll be able to land softly. He increased the physical strength of his legs. Let him remember that the rest of his body was now unprotected. Just at this moment, another man appeared. He was an angel and a member of the Crazy Wolves Guild. His level was 12 and his combat power was 3,900. Tsuyoshi didn't realize if it was an ambush. The man said he had caught him, and asked if Tsuyoshi had expected to see him. He laughed and said it was pranks. He then hit Tsuyoshi hard enough that he slammed into the asphalt beneath him. It was a good thing that he had increased the physical strength of his entire body during the fall. However, he received a knee strike because he had taken it out with a dark goblin kid before. He was able to reduce the damage. The man asked if he was still alive. What new year did you use when you attacked him? How can a rookie do that? Tsuyoshi was ready to kill them. After that, he used roaring tentacles. Limit. Stops the target for 1.5 seconds. If the opponent's level is lower than the user's, movements can be restricted forcibly. Tsuyoshi realized that the men had stopped him. Even with his skills at this level, he has a weakness. They wouldn't kill him and split the loot, which is what he wanted. The Infinity Ring's recovery time is up. The infinite passageway had been opened. Of course, Tsuyoshi realized that this was his salvation. He decided to open the infinite passage at this point. Tsuyoshi started to fade away and said that he had memorized them. He would come back stronger and defeat them. Tsuyoshi woke up in another world and realized he had escaped. He must learn new skills. He had gotten too caught up in equipping himself. He wouldn't survive without skills. It was all in his hands. At this point he turned to the girl and started talking about learning new skills. But at that moment, his nose began to bleed sharply. He realized that the girl was still asleep. Tsuyoshi smelled the scent of cherry blossoms, forever smelling her. But he's not a man if he doesn't do something about it. The physical strength. Adrenaline strengthened his muscles. He increased his strength, speed and whole body performance. At that moment, Tsuyoshi remembered who he had to kill, and his adrenaline was immediately gone. Tsuyoshi realized that now was not the time. He had to deal with the problems in his world first. He has to come up with a plan to raise the level and skills. It's already morning. The girl woke up and said that she had gotten her first good night's sleep in a long time. Tsuyoshi said he had a good night's sleep too, though he couldn't sleep, and asked if she could make him another suit. To learn new skills, he needs to get a skill scroll. In order to do this, he must enter a martial arts academy. A tribe of Beastmen. Martial arts academy. The creature asked, or was he here himself? The man who had caught the king's attention. In order to enter, one must fulfill a few conditions. The third beginning. One must reach level 6, then pass the test from level 4. It's too early for him to enter. Tsuyoshi didn't realize what it was. At this moment, he was wearing a new t-shirt sewn with a heart. The girl apologized and said that she had been training in caves for so long that she didn't know about such rules. Tsuyoshi said that it was fine. He needs to level up anyway. He'll apologize later. In that case, he can increase his level in that cave. A lowly man. The Beastmen don't recognize him. If it wasn't for the king, they would have torn him to splinters. The creature was sure that he wouldn't pass the exam even if he reached level 6. And it's also after that mongrel. It was a couple. The girl was sure it was her fault. He'd been so kind to her that she'd forgotten her place. She was giving him more trouble by her presence. She doesn't want to disturb the master. We need to explain everything to him and say goodbye. At that moment, Tsuyoshi turned around. The girl didn't realize where he was going. Tsuyoshi grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and asked him what he said and if he would rip out his tongue. Have him apologize to her now. But where he was wrong is that this girl is a mix of man and beast. Half-beast. She doesn't even have a name. She will quarrel them. A half-beast. A half-blooded beastman whose existence is despised by beastmen who place great importance on lineage. Half-beasts are despised regardless of their level or status, and are not allowed to bear names. Most are kicked out of the settlements. Tsuyoshi realized that she was half-human. That's why he didn't see her name that time. She doesn't have one at all. The goblin said that the man did not confess only because he was recognized by the king. If he disrespected them, he would destroy him. He will apologize to her if he passes the exam. He is sure that a mere man is not capable of it. Tsuyoshi, Chikashiro, simply fell silent. The girl was telling the master not to go for it because of her. At that moment, Tsuyoshi said, Sakura. He said her name was Sakura. Let him remember that. The girl was surprised that he had given her such a name. Let him remember his words too. If he passes, he will apologize to her. Tsuyoshi called her Sakura and said they were going. Tsuyoshi was unclear about the fox human. This species is pretty rare. Well, they won't deal with them. The girl asked why he called her Sakura. Tsuyoshi asked if she liked the name. but the girl said sharply that she liked everything. She's just wondering how he chose it, Tsuyoshi said, a little embarrassed to talk about it. It's just that she always smells like cherry blossoms. He thought that name suited her. At that moment, she hugged him. She smiled sincerely and told the master that she really liked the name. Tsuyoshi said it was let it be like that. He asked Sakura if they would start. The girl asked if her daggers would fit him. He said that this dagger was much stronger than the goblin's club. Tsuyoshi was in agreement with her. Compared to the hammer, any weapon seemed so light. At that moment, the beasts smelled them. With that, they immediately began to approach them. Tsuyoshi tells Sakura that they're doing everything like last time. He wants to gain experience, so let her get involved. The girl at this moment was glad that he called her by name. Restriction. The difference in levels of the strong and weak participant is more than 5 levels. Then according to the results of the battle, experience and items will not be gained. Tsuyoshi went forward and said he would try out his new dagger. Sakura said that this kind of beastman is very cunning, so let him not make any sudden moves. Tsuyoshi noticed that they were really fast. At this point he was attacked. Physical strength, when concentrated in certain parts of the body, increases their physical endurance. The beasts were surprised that his hand was like steel. Tsuyoshi said that with that level of combat power, they wouldn't be able to touch him. The master's defense was incredible, as expected of a hero who raised a divine hammer. Low-level enemies were no match for him. Against such enemies, speed is more important than strength. He understood that, in this world, leveling up is fast, so he doesn't have to fight for resources to gain experience points. At this speed, this trio has maximum combat power, but only at level 12. No matter how settled they were with such a level difference, it was impossible. In level, he's obviously losing. It will be hard to win, but he should reduce the level difference with 4 skills. Tsuyoshi said that they needed to raise his level to 6 times. He would bring that arrogant beastman to his knees. A 7th level dark forest was roaming around the cave at this moment. It was really like he didn't have anything to do. The protagonist wondered if he could get his hands on his sword. Its length and strength fit him perfectly. Sakura asked if he wanted to take him back. Tsuyoshi said no. He was just wondering if it could fall out to him. Yes, because most items can fall out, but the rarity of the drop depends on the quality of the items. It is better to fight until you get what you want. Depending on the cave and special items, this process may speed up. Probability of getting items after defeating enemies. The higher its quality and effect level, the lower the probability of falling out. There's even a probability of falling out, just like in the game. We need to finalize the system to make it more understandable. Meanwhile, there was a combat power of 1500, a black sword of cold color, and a 6% chance of falling out. Tsuyoshi noticed that there was a note written at the bottom. Only 6% chance of falling out. Very low. It seems like it wouldn't be that easy to get him. Too bad. It would be perfect for him. The exchange system is activated. He can exchange items by fulfilling certain conditions. The exchanged items will be upgraded according to his level and ability. Let him mean that items that have not been exchanged for a long time will be upgraded. The hero became interested in the exchange system. He still has a lot to learn. Only the scroll is currently available for exchange. High drop probability. The scroll increases the probability of all items to drop by 30% for 1 minute. Exchange conditions. Defeat 30 regular monsters of level 5 or higher. Current number of victories, 114. Conditions met. Tsuyoshi, of course, was excited that he would be able to trade him. A 30% increase for 1 minute seems good, and the number of wins counts in both worlds. He will exchange 3 pieces at once, and the probability of falling out will increase to 96%. Then it will fall to him instantly. Notice. He exchanged 3 scrolls after fulfilling the conditions. He now has no items that can be exchanged. Tsuyoshi told himself that they were going for the sword. He would become even stronger. Let Sakura concentrate. The main thing is to ask what's next. The moment would come, and the dark forest would take notice. Of course, as soon as he noticed them, he went into a rage. After that, he started attacking Tsuyoshi. Tsuyoshi realized that this sword had a cold effect. The dark fox is not only cunning, but also evil. The weapon has an effect that slows his movement and reduces his stamina. If he takes advantage of this weakness, the fight will be easier. The dark fox is afraid of fire. If he adds fire oil to his weapons, they will become more effective. The main character said they would see which is cooler, his cold or his fire. Fire oil is a mixture of tar and combustible ash. It gives weapons fiery properties and ignites on contact with air. At this point, Tsuyoshi began to trade with his opponent. He said he gave him the sword. The dark fox's weak spots are his armpits and neck. Let him aim there. Tsuyoshi accepted this information and said he would do it all now. Just seconds later, he struck his opponent. It was really quite spectacular and fast. Notice. While attacking an opponent's weaknesses, his status changes to coward, allowing him to carry double damage. During this time, the enemy's aggression and morale are reduced, making him more vulnerable. Tsuyoshi realized that this effect was interesting. He'll take advantage. Sakura said it was even easier to defeat an enemy in this state. Let him dodge in different directions to strike. Tsuyoshi understood and thanked the girl. At this point, he began to duck. Tsuyoshi realized that without Sakura's advice, he would have died. At this point, the dark fox just stopped and started breathing heavily. Tsuyoshi asked him if it was over. Now it's his way out. Sakura advised him to aim for the neck now. Physical strength. 60% of your strength is concentrated in your hands, providing a 200% kickback. Notice. He has hit a weak spot, and the enemy forces are depleted. Action time. 15 seconds. It's unpleasant, but it's too early to relax. Even though his level is low, the master made the battle exciting. Tsuyoshi, taking to the air, said it would be over soon. After that, Tsuyoshi used the Sky Shaker. Sakura began to be happy for her master. Tsuyoshi realized that he liked the fight too. He almost forgot to use the scroll before lunging. Notice. He used 3 scrolls. The probability of items falling out increased by 96%. Tsuyoshi was glad that he had time to use it. Tsuyoshi got 3,000 experience points and another sword. Sakura said he was lucky. Weapons rarely fell out the first time. Even with absolute physical strength, he remains susceptible to attacks. If he can find a suitable weapon, he can strike harder. He had never seen such a strong weapon before. If he defeats the trio and the crazy wolf with this weapon, it will be a short time before dawn. He will reach the 6th level with Sakura. Tsuyoshi asks Sakura where else he can level up. He wants to reach level 6 as soon as possible. The girl told him to just use the upgrade scroll. It shortens the revival time of monsters in caves and dungeons in high-level fields. In special zones, the scroll's effects are limited. This cave is considered a low-level zone, so monsters appear faster there. Sakura said she has some scrolls. They should be enough until level 6, but they can take a break first. She has healing potions. Tsuyoshi wondered what she didn't have. Outside, the girl said it should work. Notice. He used the upgrade scroll. The cave zeroed out. Tsuyoshi said he couldn't wait any longer. The black sword of cold light is really incredible, but it can even slow down enemies. Some weapons have special effects that increase strength. He can find even more attractive weapons in the future. Speaking of weapons in the divine inventory, it has the hammer of the king, but right now it can only use its power for 1 second. If you increase the time, it will become invincible. Second boss fight. The chief king asked what was wrong with him. He had already defeated his kin and reached level 5. Tsuyoshi told the boss that he had returned after using the zeroing scroll. After a while, he came back again. Then once more he went back and told the bastard he was here. There was even a moment when the dark forest itself gave him the sword from the beginning. The chief king said he was almost done. He got a level up. He had regained his stamina several times overnight. Probably had already picked up a full set of Fox Beastmen. Stamina restoration. When stamina is depleted, strength is greatly reduced and susceptibility to damage is increased. The protagonist has finally reached level 6. Now he can get his revenge. Let them wait for him. He said he'll get revenge when he reaches level 6. Here's the clubhouse, the entrance to the martial arts academy. So how would a man be able to raise the level on their land? Something he confessed. Even if he reached the right level, only the strongest would be able to enter the academy. At that moment, he noticed something. The protagonist appeared in front of them and said that this was a surprise. He had already reached the 6th level. Of course, they didn't believe it. He increased his level in just 1 day. Let him be the examiner. He's not going to wait until tomorrow. Have them prepare an apology for Sakura. What's the matter? He was about to go to bed. Don't waste time. It was an academy exam. His level was 20. The protagonist says he has met the conditions. He also wants to get new skills from the skill vault. Skill vault. Each martial arts academy stores skill scrolls in a certain place. The one who passed the trials can choose any skill from there. But, the warden said he wanted a lot. Even level 6 is no guarantee of passing the test. When we found out that he went from level 4 to level 6 in a day, he was very surprised. He told them to stop talking. If he passed the exam, he would apologize to Sakura. Colin agreed and wondered where he got so much confidence from. I wonder if he doesn't know how he did it, but he decided to try passing the test as a normal person. It sounds like a joke to them. Since he had reached the 6th level, strength was one of the important criteria for them to pass the test. This was all said by the head of the academy. Passing the tests will entitle him to use their skill vault. The test is pretty simple. If he can crack this slab of stone with one blow, he's passed. The protagonist asked, or does she just need to be cracked? The head decided to test the man with a magic stone. A level 10 warrior would have a hard time cracking it. Prey doesn't use simple stones. Let the guy enjoy it while he can. The magic stone is a stone that fell from the sky and is used by Beastmen to measure power. Its appearance was originally considered a bad omen, but the shock-resistant material began to be appreciated over time. It was simple. You had to crack it with one blow. Now he's gonna show him. What do you mean just? With level 6, he can't even inflict a scratch with an ordinary stone. It's different. Well, for someone so annoying, there's no other choice. Let him watch carefully. Even at level 20, even he has to give his best. At this moment, the stone cracked after he struck it. The stone cracked. He asked the guy if he saw it. It was easy, but wouldn't see if he could do it. The main character said he would give it a try, leaving a split due to his physicality. He can increase his hitting power a bit. Expectedly at his level, will increase the power of his punch and fist just in case. The protagonist began to prepare to strike. Absolute physical strength activated, 50% concentrated in the right hand. He repeated that it was very easy for them, but for weak people like him. The protagonist took action. The goblin at this point was saying that the guy wouldn't even be able to inflict a scratch. Just at that moment, the protagonist hit a rock. Everyone was very much surprised. Then came the shockwave. The main character said it seems like he overdid it and agreed that it was really easy. Thought it would be harder. Sakura told him that he would now be able to enter the skill vault. The goblin asked the head if he had seen it, and he in turn said that the guy had cracked the magical stone with one blow. It was incredible. The protagonist told me that it turns out he passed the test. But that's when they started telling him he didn't pass. He didn't see when he did it. Maybe that scratch did it as well. This time doesn't count. He failed the test on the sly. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro asked what the test was now. Now they move on to the iron bar test. This is a test of strength. The contestant must bend an extremely dense iron bar. Even a beast warrior would need to use explosive force to do so. The protagonist used absolutely physical strength, 50% of which was concentrated in both hands, and easily bent it, but they started telling him again that it doesn't count. Because this bar doesn't count, there is no other choice. They won't resolve everything with arm wrestling. If he could last at least 10 seconds against their strongest warrior, then he would pass. He was sure the guy would definitely lose. The protagonist activated absolutely physical strength, 70% of which was concentrated in his right hand, and easily defeated their strongest warrior. He said he had already passed 3 trials and asked if he could have enough. They didn't realize what kind of person he was and said he had passed. The main character said that he has now apologized to Sakura. He tried to argue, but then said the warrior kept his word. He apologized and said he was sorry. He said that Sakura didn't think this kind of relationship was abnormal and told those not to worry. But the main character denied it and told Sakura that he owed her an apology. Let her accept his apology. The girl agreed with the master. She accepts his apology. Skill vault. Only one skill scroll can be taken at a time. The protagonist asked, just one? What kind of stupidity was that? He thought he could do whatever he wanted, but their academy had set strict rules. He only has 3 minutes to find the skill scroll. If he breaks the seal on the scroll in that time, it becomes his. If he doesn't, he will be forcibly expelled and won't be able to enter the vault for a while. Tsuyoshi Kikishiro asked what the temporary seal restriction and exemption means. What are those rules? They said that the martial arts academy was the face of this land, and to protect the vault, the strongest mages had set up barriers and seals. The protagonist said it was harder than he thought. Sakura heard that all honor academies have such conditions. If he's got it all figured out, he's good to go. Don't let him think about stealing skills. The barrier will kick him out right away. Does he understand everything? He's only got 3 minutes. Let him choose. The countdown is on. I can see why they use magic to protect this place. With such a huge selection, it's tempting to steal something. The protagonist knew all the equipment for convenience. Sakura shared that this was her first time entering the scroll vault. It feels like the seal is pretty easy to break. Wanted to use absolute copying, but it was hard to find a really worthwhile skill. Also, the use of absolute copying, I'm not sure Sakura would get it right. To use it, you have to touch your hand to your opponent's heart, and then select one of their skills to copy. But the main character dreamed of doing it more than anything else. Well, they'll get started. He just has to use his power and pick a skill to deal with that trio. But something was happening. He did it. The description of the skill was opened. Shield Strike. Makes a strong shield strike on the target, causing dizziness. Suitable for warriors. The protagonist realized he didn't even have that. Sakura said she didn't need that skill. Let him show something. Assault Step. Moves the wielder 5 steps to a chosen location to dodge enemy attacks. Suitable for shooters. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro realized that this wasn't for him. Battle Cry. Helps to emit a roar that inspires nearby allies, which enhances attack and defense. Suitable for Ogans. This technique is quite popular among warriors, but Tsuyoshi refused. 2 minutes left. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro noticed the skill Q, but realized that this skill would definitely not suit him. The girl at that moment was offering a new counterattack skill, Counterattack. Within a certain amount of time while striking back at an opponent reflects status effects. Suitable for warriors. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro realized that this could be useful. The guy said he'd keep it in mind. The mad dash was too flashy. The charm, but no. What was it for anyway? There wasn't much time left. Awakening sounded rather dubious. What was that other skill? The girl seemed to suggest more than one that didn't suit him. Tsuyoshi realized that there was only a minute left and he still hadn't chosen. Looking at the new skills, he realized that breaking the seal would be his choice. It seemed he would have to use brute force. Tsuyoshi asked Sakura if she had any energy selves left. He could use them. Tell her to hide herself with something hard. The girl didn't start arguing and complied with the master's request. Tsuyoshi began to concentrate the power of his right hand. The goblin didn't understand what was going on there. They all didn't realize what was beginning to happen. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro decided to break all the seals at once. Even the girl was dumbfounded by the master's power. Notice. Due to lack of experience, the power of the divine hammer cannot be activated forcibly. Using it will consume a huge amount of energy, but he felt that 1 second would be enough for him. At this moment, some dragons started flying around the vault. The goblin didn't realize if this was the man's power. Tsuyoshi tried with all his might to break all the seals at this moment. It was unbelievable. Sakura wouldn't have believed it without seeing it with her own eyes. Notice. The power of the king's divine hammer has been activated. Tsuyoshi was sure that it would break all the seals at once. At that moment, something began to shine brightly in the sky. Tsuyoshi stopped at that moment and punched the ground. After that, he started breaking all the seals at once. It was really starting to work. All the scrolls began to tremble. Sakura said, the seals on all the scrolls instantly shattered. Notice. The power of the king's divine hammer has been deactivated. The guy realized he had done it, but he had 50 seconds left. Tsuyoshi saw the information about the scrolls. There were a lot of them. She could barely stay on her feet. The master's brain wouldn't be able to handle so much information at once. The girl said as the master waited. Tsushi's head was boiling. He had seen everything. Let him give him the strongest skill that suited him best. He had 40 seconds left. It wasn't the same. Not enough. Let the strongest one give it to him. That scroll glittered with lightning or something similar. Tsuyoshi turned his attention to him. Sakura informed him that the master had very little time left. 30 seconds left. The protagonist said that was probably it. He asked Sakura to bring him the third scroll from the top shelf. She agreed and started looking for him. The girl started looking for the third scroll on the top shelf, and there were 20 seconds left. When she picked it up, she noticed the split scroll and assumed it was some kind of mistake. Shattered scroll. Scrolls that have been shattered for whatever reason are usually not fully powerful, and to gain this skill you must collect the remaining fragments. The girl asked if he was sure it was a split scroll. They don't have much time. Time to get out of here. 10 seconds left. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro said it's still early. He will get out on his own. Absolute physical strength activated. 50% concentrated in the legs. The rest of the body is not protected. Let him be careful. The goblin noticed that everything had quieted down. With a second to go, he couldn't find the scroll. They all started counting down from 3 at once. At number 2, the vault closed. After that, they counted down to the end. Tsuyoshi said perfectly. He finished everything. At this point he set the girl on the floor. The goblin was surprised that he had brought a split scroll. Thunder Chain. A powerful magic skill that causes a strong electrical discharge that deals damage. Suitable for warriors and mages using a magic staff or weapon. The target is first attacked by a powerful lightning bolt, followed by lightning from the sky. Considered the most powerful force of nature, so it requires exceptional abilities from users. If he picks up the remaining fragments, can improve the skill. He had heard that no one had attempted to reassemble the split scroll in the last 1,000 years. The skill can be divided into 6 pieces, 3 of which are located nearby. However, it is almost impossible to collect the remaining pieces without hints. Moreover, beastmen who tried to master this skill in the past died from lightning. Their bodies exploded, probably because they couldn't control this power. Tsuyoshi was interested that they were trying to master it, picking up the remaining pieces for the sake of such an ending. Did that mean that no one had mastered the skill yet? As it turned out, there was one. 1,000 years ago, the strongest beastman king known as the Divine King also managed to lift the sacred king hammer. Leaving behind lies a divine skill. It turns out that this skill is related to the divine hammer of the king. Then what was he doing in the midst of such trash? Was he mocking me? If no one was ever able to master it, it becomes useless. The worst of this skill was left behind by the Divine King. In 1,000 years, no one has ever mastered it. Just like the former glory of the Beastmen, it won't return. Tsuyoshi said it would be perfect for him. He told Sakura that they were going, and the girl happily agreed with him. The head said that this was only the beginning. Whether he could find the remaining fragments and master this skill would be up to him. But what about the girl? He asked. Or was she a half-human who had been given a punishment? How could she do this to her people? This person probably doesn't know who she really is yet and is going to sacrifice them or what? Sakura's surprise changed dramatically. She replied that it was none of his business. The man just shook his head and became at this point. He said they would see how far she would go. Tsuyoshi said later that Sakura's healing potions were very effective, but their taste was terrible. Health was completely restored thanks to the healing potions. He was interested in what she was making these potions out of. He noticed she was acting strangely and asked if something was wrong. Sakura said she was just a little tired. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro was curious about something. She was supposed to be punished. He asked if it was because of her past. She was supposed to be next. Still right. Sakura suggested not to talk about the bad stuff and asked if he had studied the remaining scrolls. The Beastman elder said it was impossible, but he was ready. Thunder Chain required a strong body. This more than suited him. It couldn't wait to find the remaining fragments and see this skill in action. Sakura said that was great and asked if they were coming. What a great day. Suitable for a level up. She was right, but there was something he had to do first. Notice. The Infinity Ring's recovery time was up. The Infinite Passage was open. Tsuyoshi opened an Infinite Passage. Once he mastered that skill, he would deal with that trio. He promised he would kill them. Tsuyoshi said he was back. Before you attack, he must sing it again. He needs a weapon to activate it. Fortunately, he has a Divine Consciousness inventory. The Divine Inventory of Consciousness where he picked up the item. He's counting on him. His new skill. He armed himself with a black sword of cold light. Where did he get that sword from? Does he have a ring and measurements or something? He's definitely hiding something. This sword is very valuable, and Gaia was determined to take it for himself. The third man told him to kill him first and then they would split the loot. The man in charge said they started it themselves. After that, he took on all of them. So it must be true that he was a warrior. What a powerful aura. Tsuyoshi began to use the sword to its full strength. After that, lightning began to form in the sky. After that, she hit them all. Tsuyoshi used the Thunder Chain. The magic weapon used can summon a powerful lightning bolt from the sky. After hitting an enemy, the lightning will be transferred to another target, applying an effect called paralysis. How could that brat have that kind of magic? No one could move. Tsuyoshi looked at them all at this moment. The man realized that they had underestimated him. He had changed so much. How could that be possible? They'd have to back off. At this point, the man began to tell Tsuyoshi to wait and they would stay. Tsuyoshi didn't finish listening to him, but instantly attacked him. He asked if they thought he would forgive them so easily. Let them not make him laugh. Gaia tried to explain to him that they were actually from the Crazy Wolf Guild. Please let them explain. But Tsuyoshi Chikashiro wouldn't listen to them and told him to die in silence. The man realized he had been so cruel, realizing that if they let him leave, they would kill him later. Tsuyoshi walked up to him and said he was next. The man asked if the guy thought he was going to let himself be killed. After that, he used the explosive fruit. Although small in size, explosive fruits stick to the target and explode with great power. The way to use it is to throw the fruit at the target and it will stick to it. To explode the fruit, you need to use magic. Tsuyoshi, of course, noticed these fruits on his sword. The man then told him to die and started blowing up the fruit. After that, there was a massive explosion. He bought these fruits for a fabulous amount of money. With one, even a level 12 hero would take a huge amount of damage. His body, not to mention being torn into small pieces. The man said the guy was too inexperienced. At this moment, Tsuyoshi's silhouette was to be observed. The man of course thought it was impossible. Where does he get that kind of power from? Tsuyoshi said he wouldn't be in top form. He would die immediately. The suit of dark bought absolute physical strength was activated. The main edge looked at the man at that moment. After that, Tsuyoshi shifted in his seat. Of course he wanted to finish off the men. He asked, or did they think he would let them go so easily? They are members of the Crazy Wolf Guild, and the reasons for their objection listened to his low level. In this world, the weak are eaten alive. Tsuyoshi noticed some sort of bag by the man. Tsuyoshi stepped closer to him and asked what it was. As it turned out, the bag contained a ring of measurements. The ring of measurements is forged from a special material, assigns the user a storage space. The size of the space depends on the level. At low level it is small. At high level it reaches the size of mountains. The choice of space depends on the level of the ring, the material, and its rarity. A low level does not make the ring less valuable. The chief realized that this was indeed a ring of measurements. This is the loot. Method of use. To use the ring, you need to infuse your mana into it. If you want to keep the item in the vault, you need to use the same method. The rights to the ring are retained until the user dies or transfers the ring. It's almost impossible for an ordinary hero to find a ring of dimensions. It's too expensive. It can't be, but it's only activated now. This ring is brand new. He activated the ring of measurements. The ring synchronized with his mana. There was nothing more to be done. He thanked the item. Hero security is already on the scene. Good thing he got away in time. The Heroes Security Service is a power structure created by the heroes, located in the diction of the Heroes Union. Tsuyoshi was able to clean up his tracks and take everything of value, so they won't be able to prove his involvement. He was safe now. Guy's phone was pretty good. He had tied his information code to it, so it was now his. He didn't realize who was calling him at this hour. At this point he picked up the phone. As it turned out, it was his teacher, his class teacher, Lily. He needed to notify her that he was leaving. Tsuyoshi asked, or something was wrong. He still hasn't been going to school, even though winter vacation ended a week ago. She realizes that he stopped attending for his sister's sake, to improve their financial situation, but she wouldn't want him to drop out. Tsuyoshi thanked, but said the problems weren't just money. He hates school, and she knows why. She understands. Maybe he can find a way out without dropping out. She'll try to work something out for the tuition. Don't worry, please let him come to class tomorrow. He can't work as a garbage man forever. She doesn't know that he became a hero. Only Lily's teacher has always worried about him. She said he was a strong boy. Please don't let him drop out. She'll be her support. Do it for herself and her sister. Tsuyoshi thought he wouldn't go back to school again. He doesn't have any fond memories associated with it. But thanks to Lily's teacher's words, he realized. Now he's a hero, not a weakling who gets bullied. Those bullies are gonna pay for that ambush. Thanks for nothing more. He's coming to school. 3 were killed by an unknown hero, who also stole his measuring ring. What he doesn't know is that this ring has a tracking magic placed on it. It's a magic that helps track the approximate location of the ring. It's hidden, but a high-level mage can spot it and erase all traces of it. The man knew where the boy was. He would pay for stealing from the Crazy Wolves. It was the head of the Crazy Wolves Guild, and his level was 21, with a combat strength of 11,200. Have them run a check on this thief. The next morning, Tsuyoshi came to his sister's house. He asked his sister, or if everything was okay. She can walk now, albeit slowly, so don't let her worry. Tsuyoshi said she was so stubborn and offered to walk slower. When she heard that he was going to school, she persuaded him to take her with him so she wouldn't be a burden. Getting to school in a wheelchair would be much more difficult. It was good that he had bought crutches, but even with them she could hardly walk. Even though they were expensive, they were still better than a wheelchair. When she saw them, she cried, saying that he was spending too much on her. He spent the money he stole from the three of them for nothing. The ring of measurements cannot be sold. It is very valuable to him as a hero. However, seeing his sister's face, he realizes that all was not in vain. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro told her to walk slower. After school, don't let her linger. He'll help her down. He'll take care of her. At this point some girl didn't realize who the girl in the foreign crutches was. Her friend was asking her if she was talking about Karina, who lost her parents and the ability to walk because of the darkness attack. And here's how. Not too powerful. Also poor. What a pity. Did not tell the news. Even teachers all know. The girl said that such beggars were destined to die in the slums. The news channels wasted their time on her, playing innocent. It pissed her off. The girl wondered if Mina would beat her again or what, in case the school authorities found out. The last time she stuffed it, no one dared open their mouths, and that would always be the case. She seemed to have a new toy. They're going to go to her place to meet her boyfriend. At the vice principal's office someone said he should thank Lily's teacher. If it wasn't for her he wouldn't have let him come back. He should take his studies more seriously. At least he understands how important studying is. She understands his concern, but she has her own reasons. She has already had a discussion with him. The tuition has been paid. She will make sure he pays all his student loans. Tsuyoshi thanked the deputy and Lily's teacher. Tsuyoshi apologized for the inconvenience. The teacher at that moment was talking about the schedule. At this point, the deputy was watching the woman's ass. He didn't care about the brat. He was only interested in her. He was perfect for the role of her lover. The teacher informed her that she was carrying the money for her sister's schooling and let her not worry. They will manage. He apologized for worrying. He will definitely give her all the money back. The teacher stopped him and said they would discuss it later. He entered the third year. Better let him prepare for the exams. By the way, he looks a lot faster than she does for him. The main thing. The cargo asked for this truth. Lately he has been working tirelessly. Will surely meet her expectations. He was in his head apologizing for not admitting that he had become a hero. The problems with the crazy wolves were still unresolved, so he had to be careful. But now he would be able to show them that he was different. Let him go to class. They're painting now. Tsuyoshi walked into the classroom. Some guy said he thought the main character had been eliminated and he was back again. The kid asks Raleigh if he's going to get sugared in the restroom after class. Of course. His wallet had been noticeably empty during his absence. It's not him you should sympathize with. It's Raleigh. He's the reason he didn't get to hang out at karaoke. Now he's going to remind him of himself. At that moment he threw a ball of paper at him. But to everyone's surprise, Tsuyoshi, with his back to them, caught it. Everyone was very much surprised. After that, Tsuyoshi lowered his hand, then turned to them and told Raleigh if they would talk in the restroom after class. Raleigh asked if he thought he heard someone call him in to talk, and he confessed that he hadn't seen him in a while. It's okay, he'll show him. The bell for recess rang. The guy stood in front of them and told them that Raleigh was in the restroom now. Let the others go somewhere else. He heard about the school. He joined the garbage men. He has bills to pay. Let him chase the money. Tsuyoshi asked. Otherwise what? All three of us were greatly surprised at this answer. Let him stop or Moons will hammer him. Don't wait for the signal. Tsuyoshi began to warm up at this point. Tsuyoshi Kikishiro felt incredibly strong. He had become strong so quickly. He was no longer afraid in front of them. He didn't have the courage to defend himself before, but now he was different. They posed no threat to him. The guys started to say that Tsuyoshi had let them go. Tsuyoshi was easily beating them up at this point. Raleigh just stood there watching his comrades take a beating. He didn't realize what was even going on. Why this weakling became a completely different person. The guy told Raleigh that the boss was here and they had to run. After that, they started to leave the restroom. Raleigh just gave Tsuyoshi one last look. The protagonist noticed that look and realized that the guy didn't seem to have had enough. He was glad they had retreated, taking advantage of his absolute physicality. He had just killed them. He's going to cause him so much trouble. Haru, it's okay. Let him call if he needs anything. Let her hold the notebook. At this point someone said to get away from her. She was having a conversation. Her friend tried to explain to Minnie that Karina couldn't walk right now. Maybe it was better not to? One more word and she would punch her in the face. Of course, she was trembling at this point. She hasn't been seen at school for a long time, so she has one less slave. How will she be held accountable for this? She said she had no money. What money? Are these crutches cheap? She said not at all. They were very important to her. Her brother had worked hard to buy them for her. They marveled at that moment. Minnie asked, or are they already important? She can't walk without them. Karina said yes, very important. Before she could finish speaking, the girl hit her and asked, and what's the big deal? Everyone was just silent at this point. The teacher came down and said that class had started. Let them sit down in their seats. The teacher came that now, after class, let him not laugh whether to go home. After class the conversation was not yet over. The teacher told them to open their notebooks. Of course, the girl realized that she needed to run as soon as class was over. She wouldn't be able to wait for her brother. She needed to make sure he didn't meet up with Mina and the others in the backyard. Tsuyoshi class. That was all for today. Let them be careful on the way home. She thanked me for the lesson. She then asked Tsuyoshi to stay for a moment. He wondered what was the matter, but he asked if it was a question or if he was already used to school after his absence. If there's anything she can do to help him today. The protagonist thanked them, told them it was okay. So that's how it was. She was glad to hear that so the situation wouldn't happen again. Be sure to let him tell her when someone started bullying him. He said he was fine and thanked her. I think she bothered him for nothing. I'm glad he's settling in. I'll be sure to let him know if anything happens. Now let him go home. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro said goodbye to her. At that moment, someone approached the guy. A guy came up to him and said he wanted to apologize for what happened in the bathroom and suggested we go somewhere to talk. Full of blood asked where. He said over there. He'd like to apologize elsewhere. With a sinister smile, he led him somewhere in an obscure direction. Just at that moment, a man appeared and started attacking Tsuyoshi. At this point, one could observe what started out as a marriage. The guy told Raleigh not to overdo the main character. Absolute physical strength activated at 30%, centered in the hands. The guy couldn't believe that the main character had stopped Raleigh's attack. The main character knew they were up to something, but didn't think they were that slow. After that, the protagonist began to deal with them. Raleigh's friend got his shot. After that, I got the second one too. The protagonist then proceeded to deal with and meet. He was foaming at the mouth about it. The main character said they didn't learn their lesson and called them losers. Raleigh jumped out at him and told him to go to hell. The main character said that if they weren't in school, he would have killed them. Raleigh realized he couldn't move. The guy didn't realize if he was afraid of Tsuyoshi, and the guy in turn said that the guy was falling asleep. After that, the protagonist gave him a flattery. The main character was getting in front and said he had to go after his sister. The legal hero saved him. A hero shouldn't kill civilians. In the hallway leading to the backyard, Karina was walking at that moment. She realized she needed to escape Mina through the back gate, needed to get to the main entrance through the back door unnoticed. The girl was almost there. She was still scared to come down sick, but needed to calm down. She decided to walk slowly, but as soon as she took one step, she started to fall. All her stuff started falling out of her backpack. Then the girl fell to the floor altogether. As it turned out, it was Mina, who started laughing and saying that she had fallen, thinking she could run from her through the back door, and didn't know she would. Let her take off her crutches. Karina was shaking and telling them to stop and begging them not to take them away. But she realizes she can't escape them without them. At this point, the main character was surprised that his sister wasn't in class yet and was told she had already left. At that moment, someone approached him. He was asked if he was Karina's brother. He said yes. Asked if she knew where she was. They agreed to go home together. He was told that it seemed she'd gone out the back door. Have him look for her there. The main character was surprised that his sister went through the back door. What's that for? Something must have happened. Haru was acting strangely, as if she was afraid of something. Either way, he has to find his sister. To get to the backyard, you have to take these stairs. He wondered if Karina would be able to follow it on her own. At that moment, a realization came to Tsuyoshi Kikishiro and he saw something. He saw his sister sitting on the floor, bream scattered around her. The protagonist couldn't say anything at this point. Then his sister looked at him. She smiled, looked at him and asked what he was doing here. Pasha's tin eye has been activated. Target. Karina. Damage analysis. She said it was her own fault. She accidentally fell down the stairs. She had forehead injuries from fists, cheek injuries from slaps, hands injuries from pinching, stomach internal bleeding from being kicked, torso injuries from being kicked. Many injuries were found on the target's body. The protagonist asked if she had fallen and said it must have hurt. He thought about how she had been beaten when she fell. The girl said she was so stupid she couldn't even get down on her own. Illness. She broke her crutch, apologized to him, but the protagonist understood perfectly well how it all happened. She said she didn't want to give him a hard time, but she couldn't get up without a crutch. Tsuyoshi said that they were family. What other hassle is there? She must have been in pain, but she said she was fine, so don't let him worry. The girl asked about the crutches. Tsuyoshi tearfully said that everything was fine. The girl sighed and said she was glad. Tsuyoshi said great, not going home. After that he put her on top of him. After that, they started walking home. He said if she remembered something. He carried her that day as well. She had grown up a lot. After all, it had been so long ago. The girl agreed with him and said that it seemed like yesterday. From that day on, they were always together. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro said that she was his only family member. Since that day, he decided that he had to become stronger to protect her. He was weak then, but now he has become a hero. He won't let something like this happen again. He has always tried his best and with all his might, which is why she doesn't want to be a burden to him. Tsuyoshi asked if walking again started below the family. Let him wait here for a while. He'll be back soon. The girl asked where he was going. Tsuyoshi said he had forgotten something. But of course, Tsuyoshi was well aware of where he was going. Someone laughed and said it went great. She was so desperate to close her crutches. She was completely open to being hit. Too bad they couldn't take them back. They could have sold them for more money. We need to finish what we started. Mina's boyfriend named Billy, grade 3 to 6, asked, or she thought they were worth that much. Don't let him worry. He'll have them by tomorrow. It seems her older brother Tsuyoshi just went back to school. I heard he dropped out to work as a garbage man. Mina asked what does trash man mean? It means beggar and trash man's kin. It's disgusting to be in the same school with them. I wish they would be expelled soon. Karina was content to be popular. She had a lot of injuries. Many guys in the class liked her, but she was smart, cute and stylish. What do you mean, cute and classy? I'd like to see her. What did he just say? Don't let her get mad. He's just kidding. Then have him take her crutches from her tomorrow. They'll talk after he sells them. He agreed with the cripple to do it. Would be the easiest thing to do. Just at that moment, Tsuyoshi appeared. They all turned their attention to him. Of course. Billy asked who dared to come out here. Tsuyoshi said that means it wasn't Karina who was beaten up, but she said she fell down the stairs herself. The girl immediately realized that it was Karina's brother. Mina in turn asked. He wanted revenge, and it was a bad time for him to come, wasn't it? Billy asked. Or was it Tsuyoshi's garbage man? Is he a future third year? Heard about the great Billy. Mina had a little fun with his sister. The protagonist asked, or they decided to push the sick girl down the stairs. Billy mockingly asked and called him a garbage man. Or is he in some kind of trouble, not wanting to apologize? Mina said he explained it to him properly. The guy asked how some garbage man dared to steal their time. Just at that moment, Tsuyoshi grabbed his finger. By the way, he broke it and the guy started screaming in pain. How dare he even do that to him? The girl was very much surprised when she saw this. At that moment, Tsuyoshi grabbed the door handle. He closed the doors and said he wouldn't let them escape. There was no threat to Tsuyoshi from all of them. Mina asked what he was even doing. Tsuyoshi thought he was a hero for being so confident. Turns out he just picks on people for no reason. Mina asks the guy if everything is okay, and the guy doesn't ask Tsuyoshi, or does he even know who his father is? The girl asked, or was he Karina's older brother? Good for him. He had the courage. The day had come. They may not be heroes, but they're definitely not to be trifled with. Just at that moment, Tsuyoshi tossed her into the air in one fell swoop. Tsuyoshi asked, or did she think he wouldn't dare to steamroll the girl? Mina began to worry about her friend Vivian. The guy noticed that Tsuyoshi was so fast. Even the athletes of their school weren't that fast. And what the hell was going on? The girl began to turn to her friend. The guy started repeating himself. Tsuyoshi approached them and said that he didn't see them as girls. Tsuyoshi knocked the guy's teeth out. The guy in turn started saying that Tsuyoshi didn't know who put him on. Tsuyoshi told him to shut up. He would deal with him later. The girl started calling for her boyfriend. Tsuyoshi then grabbed her by the neck. After that, he started literally carrying her somewhere with one hand. Then he pinned her against the wall. He started telling her to wait and let her go. He had heard that she was the one who had started all the bullying of Karina. Tsuyoshi told her to listen to him carefully as her brother would never forgive them for this. And they really pissed him off. Really pissed him off. From now on, let them stay away from Karina. Don't expect them to apologize. Just let them stay away from her. Otherwise, he'd twist her head off. Did she understand everything? But the girl at this point couldn't even talk. Still, she managed to say that she agreed. Tsuyoshi approached Billy and asked if he was Mina's boyfriend. Still want to mess with Karina or something? A ruler alone would be enough to stop a scumbag like him. He was sickened by his words. If he was a hero, he would have killed him. The guy started to ask again if he knew who he was. He's the son of the leader of the Blue Snake Gang. Does he even know who they are? His father is a level 10 hero. Tsuyoshi asked what Blue Snake Panda meant by wasters, who borrowed money from him for Karina's treatment. They said the same thing when they came to the hospital. He began to run into people he hated often. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro realized everything and started using force. The guy realized that Tsuyoshi was using a skill and asked if he was a hero. But it was too late, and Tsuyoshi began to immobilize him. Notice. Without using a suitable weapon, damage will be reduced by 90%. Tsuyoshi said that should be enough for him. Let them memorize everything carefully. He's giving them one last chance. He ironically apologized and said they would have to clean up the classroom. The guy asked if Tsuyoshi had left. Mina ran up to him and asked if he was okay, adding that they should go to the hospital. But he said he just needed some rest. He didn't know that Tsuyoshi was a hero. Mina asked if he was going to get revenge on him. Let him look at that scar. Let him make him answer for it. Let him tell his father. Billy came in furious and told her not to point him out. He would pay for it. He'll make him pay for it. The girl offered to tell his father everything. He will tell his father, and then he will wipe him and his sister off the face of the earth. The girl at this point sat there, unsuspecting and hoping her little brother was okay. And if she could take care of herself, she wouldn't have to bother him. But she didn't want to make him worry. He'd recently achieved hero status as it was. At that moment someone called out to her, which startled her a lot. It was her brother. He apologized for keeping her waiting and said they were going home. He offered to carry her on his back. Then she would take their bags. So the leader of the Panda Blue Snake is a level 10 hero and Billy's dad. The kid is probably complaining to his dad about both the grass and them. There are too many of them, and Karina is in danger. He has to be extremely careful. It's time to go back to the other world. He won't let his sister get hurt. In another world, Sakura had told the master that they had arrived in the north, and now she would tell him everything. In the town he can take part in an official quest. For this he needs to join the Adventurers Guild. There is also a tavern, blacksmith store and tool stores in the town. Just what he needed. He's been wanting to gain experience in combat for a long time. Sounds like a fun game. They're coming and he can't wait. It was incredible. It turns out there are several tribes of Beastmen. Here, by the way, are gathered the rarest of the rare, each with its own specialty. Tsuyoshi noticed the adventurers' men, asked if it looked like a creature from their world or what. There are many different tribes living in the big city. There is a rule that says to avoid fighting outside the arena. After all, there are many tribes residing in this Beastman city. However, proud elves and noble Beastmen are only quite rare. It was very exciting to see his comrades here for the first time. He could already feel their bond. At that moment, the girl noticed something. She noticed how Tsuyoshi greeted people and tried to explain to him that you can't be so sudden. He immediately became aggressive, started asking who he was, and was ordered not to come any closer. Tsuyoshi didn't realize if there was any rule regarding greetings here. Sakura decided to intervene and said that there was a misunderstanding. At this point, they were very frightened of her for some reason. The guy didn't understand what the hell this was even about. Sakura explained that he shouldn't talk to the adventurers in town. Most of them were especially careless of those around them. Tsuyoshi said he was clear. There were so many rules in this world, so why is everyone whispering about them? Of course, Sakura realized it was all because of her. She apologized and said it was because she was a half-beastman and beastmen hate hybrids. She advised her to rather join the Adventurers Guild so they would leave them alone. Discrimination is everywhere. Don't let them worry about it. They are coming. The girl held out her hand to Tsuyoshi Chikashiro. Then they set off on their journey. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro said it was just like in the games or anime. And at that moment he noticed the sign. The girl told the master that they couldn't complete any of the tasks without registering. Sakura said they were here to join the Adventurers Guild. A team of a human and a half-beast was interesting. Someone asked who would be registering. The main character said he did, adding that it was strange that she treated him differently from the others. She had seen many adventurers. There was nothing special about it for her. Have him write his class and name here. Then his profile will be shared with all the adventurer guilds. And next time he will be able to complete the quest even if he is in other branches. The protagonist noticed that no official documents are signed. It's the registration document that matters. Otherwise he can't get his adventurer's badge. The main character asked about the adventurer's badge. He listens to them. With him the identifying object for the lowest rank is given out in iron. The higher the rank, the higher the reward received. Let him do his best to earn more experience. Badge rank in ascending order. Iron, then bronze, silver, gold. In the middle of the whole guild there are a few seekers with gold badges. Normal ones don't take quests, only the rich ones. A low rank badge is not as appealing. When you get a badge it will automatically be upgraded. You can also use it to hide it. Tsuyoshi Kakishiro realized that it was incredible how it worked. It is linked to its badge. The level can be hidden through the power of thoughts. It's worth remembering that. The protagonist asked what it means to use the power of thoughts. The protagonist asked the goblin, just like that. Thanks to the divine selection system, it's going to be easy. For them, it's out of their control. At this point the goblins showed up and said the guy should get out of the way. They've come to complete the mission. They then asked if there was any other assignment and agreed to any condition. If not, they've offered to have a drink somewhere. He's buying, but unfortunately she's busy. There is one urgent task. The reward for it is high, but the task itself is not easy. The client is looking for a seeker of level 15 or higher. Can they do it? They realized they couldn't do it, and asked if there was anything for level 10. What else is this assignment? Predatory minions of the darkness are causing trouble for the farmers. A team of 3 searchers took on this task, but they were all badly wounded and one was missing. By the way, their level was even higher than their level. The predatory minions of darkness were level 10. Were there really that many of them, or what? They wouldn't take this. They're at least level 20. That's when the main character said they were taking it over. After that, he told the goblin to get out of the way. They stopped him abruptly and started asking him if he knew what the offense was within the guild. He didn't underestimate them. If life is the way to go, don't let him take this assignment. He just signed up. He's not afraid of monsters. So what? The protagonist said that if they can't do it, then let them keep quiet. Or do they want to look at his ability in the lease? The absolute physical form had been activated. With the divine selection system, he could defeat a level 9 Beastman. Let them know their place. They have more experience with badges. He just got his badge. Let him refuse the assignment himself before he is turned down by the customer, making him look like a laughing stock. The girl, for her part, said she admired his courage, but there was some truth in their words. At that level, the customer might turn him down. The goblin asked the red-haired guy if he'd heard, and called him an idiot. The task of catching a runaway dog would suit him much better. Sakura at this point decided to intervene and said that they wouldn't do this assignment. All present were greatly surprised. They noticed that his girlfriend was a half-breed. What would they be able to prove such a resounding claim with? Sakura asked the young man if a gold badge would be enough. Everyone was greatly surprised when they saw it. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro was also surprised that the girl with the ears had a gold badge. She'd been told she should have spoken up sooner. She had assigned them the task. I'm sure the customer would be pleased as well. The protagonist noticed that they didn't run right away. Sakura said that this assignment would help him level up. The gold badge seeker called this young man a master. Who is he? This is a very interesting team. A farm run by ravenous minions of darkness is around here somewhere. The main character didn't know she had a gold badge. She said that she had joined the guild at a young age and had done many quests and tasks with other teams. He later realized that she had reached the gold badge level and had changed her old badge. He thought it was strange, since it must be hard to work in a guild at such a young age. Tsuyoshi said that she was doing well. The girl shyly thanked him for those words. They seemed to be in place. Their opponents were very strong. At this moment, the protagonist was watching his opponents. A pack of 10-level predatory minions of darkness. I wonder how many people couldn't handle them. How nasty they are. They are, after all, servants of darkness, massacring all living creatures, taking their lives, thus gaining the power of low-level creatures and can strip away reason. Not like those dark goblins that turn slugs into darkness. Before that they were slime on rock or something. Now I see why they're so nasty. So these ravenous minions are just slime. They're only affected by the thunder skill. That's why they're dangerous. So his thunder chain will do just fine. Go ahead, Sakura. She can stay out of it as usual. He has a chance to increase his skill level. At that moment, Sakura grabbed him by his clothes. She said he shouldn't do such a task alone, and the protagonist asked why. This fight could cost him his life, and the place is different from those he has fought before. In a fight he would be able to win, but against a few going it alone was very dangerous. Had he seen the team's reaction to the terms of this assignment? They didn't realize it was dangerous. Even though danger is part of an adventurer's job, she doesn't want him to risk his life to level up. Let her help her. The protagonist said he understood everything and she had 2 questions. The first one is about his level. He wants to raise it to be ready for any turn of events in his world. The girl asked what the matter was. If he told her, she would help. He remembers his promise to the king. A test awaits him in a year. He doesn't know how strong the king is, so let him tell how much he must be prepared to prove his abilities to him. The girl was surprised at such a question. She'll be honest with him. It's simply not possible. Given his current level, it would be impossible to pass the test. The protagonist wondered why. First of all, he's going to have to try hard just to survive. Until next year at the very least, he should try to avoid the divine punishment of the Beastmen. Had he heard of the rules of the tier system? The protagonist asked if she could tell him about them. He knows that the same level system applies in both worlds, and the level stays the same in both worlds, hero and adventurer alike. However, he is also unaware of what else exists. The Seeker's maximum level is 100. The King's current level is 92. He was able to gain his status due to his high level and abilities. The King of Beasts, the King of Men, and the King of Elves are 3 kings that symbolize the strength of their race. But he didn't look like the embodiment of the Beastman's strength. He will be able to pass the King's tests because it is impossible to bypass the level restrictions. None of the Seekers or adventurers will be able to exceed those limits. The higher his level, the harder it is to advance to the next level. She is an example of this. In 20 years as an adventurer, she has only reached level 72. She knows her level is far from low, has tried to increase it many times, but this is her limit. It's different for everyone. To pass the King's trials, he needs to reach at least level 50, and it seems like he just can't raise his level that much in just a year. A mere adventurer would give a lifetime to reach level 50. The main character just kept quiet and listened to her intently. Then he said he understood her concern. Sakura realized that he was fine, and she would accompany him for a year, even if he couldn't keep his promise to the king. She knows he's not just an adventurer. He escaped divine punishment and ascended to divine youth. It's far from easy, and he needs to reach level 50 in a year. It might be impossible for some, but definitely not for him. Strange to admit, but he was in this world because of the ring. He was freed from divine punishment, and in return he received a divine selection system. He's the chosen one, and he can't live a normal life. Within the divine selection system, anything is possible. The girl was greatly surprised and motivated by what the master said. She said he's definitely going to be a legend. She believes in him. She wished him luck, and the protagonist said that he was now going forward. And he remembered the second question. The main character asked what if he fought a level 10 warrior and dozens of others at the same time. Tsuyoshi asked how much he could increase his level. She doesn't know why he would do that, considering the number of enemies. He should be at least level 12. The protagonist said it's decided. He'll reach level 12 in a week. The creature noticed Tsuyoshi at that moment. Let her rely on him. He will take full advantage of the system. The divine eye has been activated. The main weak point of the predatory minions is in the heart. When the body is damaged, the heart begins to glow, healing the wounds it has received. The light can help when searching for it. It was clear to Tsuyoshi, aside from being vulnerable to dwarves using the lightning element, he had a heart ulcer. Considering his level, he would be able to win by aiming the thunder chain at his torso. First, we need to find his heart. Sakura said his touch could ruin his body. Let him be careful. The protagonist began to fight him. At that moment, he found his heart, an absolute form, and he withstood his attacks. The absolute physical form was activated as soon as he got close. The protagonist did not realize that the heart was located in the chest. His opponent had already managed to recover awfully fast. The enemy was preparing a new attack. He began the absorption of the foreign organism. There was no sighting of Tsuyoshi after that. The main character laughed and asked if he wanted to eat him and said he had the wrong guy. Absolute physical form activated. He increased his arm strength. He's like a moth flying blindly to the fire. Let it rip his jaws open. The girl noticed that his power was immense. Perhaps he was right. He was capable of making the impossible possible. At this point, the creature began to recover again, and a glow from the heart was visible. The protagonist has finally found it, so it's under his tongue. Let him taste the thunder. The main character used a thunder chain. At that moment, he defeated it, and a glow in the stone was seen. The protagonist took notice. He said it seems like the assignment was pretty straightforward. 30 minutes later, almost all of the predatory minions were destroyed. Sakura was right. The higher his level, the more experience points he needed to earn. So the points he got from defeating weaker enemies became less significant, and the reward he received was noticeably lower than what he got by destroying monsters. Once there, he won't be able to raise his level with just this quest. He needs to find another way to level up. Here he will be able to do it faster than in his world, but there is still a long way to go. He should reach level 12 in less than a week and level 20 in less than a year. It's worth giving it 100%. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro asked if she had any ointment for her burns. Sakura said he did a great job. Thunder oil is made by mixing the oil of a tree and thunder flower. It can be used to give weapons the properties of thunder. It is a magical item used by mages and shamans. The girl said she had 4 left. She had procured them for 2, so she could use as many as she wanted. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro was surprised that she had bought thunder oil in advance. He asked if it was expensive and suggested that next time she stock up on oils in advance. The master has no money at all. Is she right? Let her clarify their financial situation. Such an item is expensive, so she spent all the money on it, and apologized. The protagonist said there was no need to apologize. How much did each one cost? What about the reward for completing the task? He'll think of something. Please let him explain everything in simple words. And he didn't think about their finances. He was fixated on leveling up and had completely forgotten that money also played a role in this world. Even if he spent all of her savings, Sakura probably wouldn't say anything. The price depends on the item. As thunder oil is quite rare, it costs around 30 silver coins. About the low-level quest, the reward also depends on the value of the item or thing he is looking for. Based on my experience, the reward for low-level quests is less than 1 gold coin, so usually people call adventurers if they lost something valuable. You can get anywhere from 50 silver coins to 3 gold coins for low-level monsters, depending on the difficulty. Tasks involving ravenous minions of darkness can fetch around 300 gold coins. But again, it all depends on the customer. Basically, they're broke right now. Once they finish this quest, the Adventurers Guild will give them a reward, so they need to save up for expenses and purchases such as oil. The protagonist said she seems like a reliable wife. The protagonist asked if the boss should be inside the house, since he was the only one left, so they could finish quickly. At this point, someone asked sternly who had allowed him to go onto his farm without permission. It was the owner of the farm. He said he was the boss of the place, and asked if they were looking for an adventure. What half-beast and man had forgotten on his property? The Beastman next to him said he could sense thunder magic, and asked if they had destroyed the ravenous minions. It was impossible. The human said they were too weak to deal with the ravenous minions with one team. Could it be that they were looking for them too? They were asked if they were looking for Cardioles. They had already taken up the task and he would be theirs. It seems rumors of Cardioles spread quickly. The protagonist asked what it was and clarified if he was a customer. There was some miscommunication and the meeting was not held at the guild. Sakura started telling him to wait. She asked if Cardioles falls out after defeating a boss. Yes, he had sent requests to the guild, but he hadn't thought they would arrive so quickly. So they haven't heard of the Cardioles. If they haven't heard, let them leave it to them. They won't let it be taken away. The main character still didn't understand what it was. Sakura said that they should complete this task since the items are very valuable. Cardioles is a rare item that drops for defeating a boss. After processing, it can be used to communicate with darkness zones. The possibility of dropping it and leveling up in darkness zones is 10 times greater than in normal zones. Adventurers who want to increase their level will not miss this chance. An unprocessed item would be worth 100 gold at the auction, and after processing, it would be worth at least 150 gold. The protagonist was surprised that the item was worth so much and realized that he shouldn't get it at any cost. He should achieve his goal. The farm owner started telling them to stop and asked them to calm down so they could resolve the misunderstanding. However, the team that came from the guild was different. They showed their abilities. The only thing left was the boss. Whoever defeated him would receive the reward. Sakura told him to let them go first, as she had to get it at all costs for the master's sake. But why all of a sudden? Each team has only one chance, and they will go first, because they came here at the request of the customer. He was right. He called them here, and let them go first. They would show their strength to a human and a half-beast. Even though the boss and the reward were great, they had one chance and they had to give it 100%. Their team was well matched. A mage, a marksman, a warrior, and a tank. Working together, they would surely defeat the enemy, and if they didn't, maybe they would lose. The main character told them to wait. He had a suggestion. Let him come out alone first. He's a level 6 seeker. If he loses, their team won't stand in their way. If he wins, the bounty is theirs. Do they agree? They were all greatly surprised when they realized that he had level 6. Let them not realize that you had to be at least level 18 to defeat the boss. They all started laughing with him and didn't believe that he would single-handedly defeat it. Some object behind the mists that they had no objections to. In that case, the protagonist will go there first. Sakura asked the master if he was sure. After level 12 moreover, he is possessed by darkness. Even with a thunderbolt, he's not easy to defeat. Let her be with him. The main character winked at her and told her to trust him. After that, the girl smiled and said that she had faith in the master. They kept laughing and saying that a girl can believe in anyone. Let the guy go already. They couldn't wait for his merciless death at the hands of the boss. The protagonist asked if it was a helpless death. He hid his level, not paying attention to who would mercilessly kill whom. Trump asked if it was just him or if the atmosphere had changed dramatically. At that moment, the protagonist entered the house. Tsuyoshi said he was the strong opponent Sakura was talking about. He was only interested in an item called Cardioles. Boss, the predatory minion of darkness, was looking at the guy at this moment. Tsuyoshi stood in front of the boss at this moment. They were surprised that the boss was even level 14, and they thought it was a bit too much. He was storing a rare item. Judging from his shoulder, the guy needed to be at least level 23. Of course, the girl began to worry about her master. They started telling her to get ready to carry his corpse out. He wouldn't last a second. He'd lose the object all at once. Sakura gave them a very stern and furious look and told them to shut up. After that, they really all shut up. Tsuyoshi said that he should have the same weakness as the common minions, but he knew that he was much stronger than them, so this way wouldn't work. The creature became enraged at this point. If possible, he wouldn't want to take advantage of it. The longer it lasted, the more favorable it was to him. Now he realized what they meant. 1 second would be enough for him to kill him. He took out the Divine King hammer from the Divine Consciousness inventory. Due to its low level, the hammer's potential couldn't be fully unleashed, and forcing it to use it would drain a huge amount of energy. The predatory minion is weak against lightning, but he will first increase his arm strength with an absolutely physical form. In addition, will strengthen the Thunder Chain skill and Negative Heaven by activating them at the last moment. This way, he would be able to win. If he cannot win with one gift, he will be in danger, for he will become very weak after using it. But he will do it and get the result, whatever it may be. At this point, from his seat, he went on the attack. He immediately went on the attack to penetrate. Tsuyoshi began to use the Thunder Chain. He was ready to attack the predatory henchman. A few seconds later, he attacked the enemy. Outside, they didn't understand what was going on out there. At this point, lightning could be observed. Sakura was surprised that he used that power again, but he would be too weak after her. She immediately started running toward him. No one realized what was happening. Was it a bomb or something else? The farm owner didn't know what to do with the farm. The girl immediately started looking for the master. The powerful explosion must have felled him. At that moment, Tsuyoshi raised his hand and called Sakura to him. He asked if they had talked about Cardioles. Tsuyoshi held the raw Cardioles in his hands. The Seekers Guild, Himka, said that they completed the mission so quickly. That's impressive. Here's their reward, which, in principle, was expected of a gold badge, but heard the team that the customer called. It failed. She thanked. However, it wasn't her that won. It was her master. She would not defeat the final boss. But let her stop joking around like that. He wouldn't be able to. This boss was a level 14, huge predatory minion of darkness. A level 6 rookie wouldn't be able to handle it. And why does he look so exhausted? Tsuyoshi was very much weakened at this moment, but Sakura was proving that her master had done it alone. He had expended all of his mental and physical strength, causing his characteristics to be depleted. In summation, she didn't believe it, for it was simply impossible. At this moment, Tsuyoishi's period of weakness was over. He didn't think it would take so long to recover from a second use of the divine hammer. Without Sakura, it was quite dangerous. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro was the first to ask if she had learned anything about this item they had gotten. Beastman asked if they had found cardioles. If they put it up for auction, they could make a lot of money. Lucky, if they want to sell it, they can do it in the square in the center of the city. The girl said they weren't going to sell it. The shaman from the guild was in town now, and as she wished, would ask him for processing. They want to keep it for personal use, so it's worth asking the shaman to process it. Their guild is located in the south. She will send the request in a few days. The shaman exam first, then he can refuse, but she will give them a letter of recommendation. Let them wait. The girl thanked her for it. The chief king asked what other kind of examination of shamans. Even shamans are divided into ranks? The title of shamans is honored. They are healers and awakened elves. The title is divided into 6 ranks, which are awarded based on the results of an exam. Like awakened ones, shamans can craft certain medicines and items. Medicines and items made by high-ranked shamans are more effective and, of course, more expensive. So shamans are different from mere adventurers? Yes, shamans are healers. Healers and awakened ones usually do not participate in battles and are not considered noble representatives. Adventurers can make useful medicines and even affect the level of the adventurer. Tsuyoshi was naturally interested in the fact that shamans could affect levels. There is a saying, fear one high-level shaman more than 10 high-level seekers. Medicines and items crafted by a skillful shaman can even affect the course of a battle. Some high-quality medicines can help with level ups, so all seekers seek out shamans. Healers and awakened ones are also in high demand. In one case, a warrior pissed off a silver-ranked shaman at level 80, and the shaman summoned 10 adventurers who chased after him. Naturally, it ended in war, and they have since realized how powerful shamans were. It was really interesting. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro. Here's their letter of recommendation. With it, they can get into the shaman guild and process the item. The girl thanked her. The shaman's guild at this time. He noticed that a very large number of shamans had gathered for the exam. These days of the exam, representatives of prestigious families, schools, and organizations gathered here. I heard it was hard to get into their ranks. She said they come with a letter of recommendation from the guild and they can go inside. Sakura asked if he could tell her where they could process cardioles. The white shaman was surprised to see a man and a halfling in front of him. Today would not work. Only shamans could enter the building on the day of the exams. She apologized, but said they had a letter of recommendation from the guild. He called her a disgrace and said there was an exam going on here today and they couldn't come in. The exam is more important than some letter, so let them go. Tsuyoshi decided to stand up for the girl and say that they weren't leaving. They had a letter of recommendation and so they should be let in. He chuckled and asked where he got his courage from. Let him let something be clear. The Shaman Guild holds the power, so no matter how many days pass, he won't be able to enter until the exam is over. The girl was telling the master better not to leak it. Doug, the president of the Northern Amon Socialization, a blue shaman, asked what was wrong. The goblin apologized for the disturbance and President Doug. He explained the situation that these rude people won't let them process cardioles. They've already tried 1,000 times to chase them away. He told the president that he would deal with them. Tsuyoshi asked, is he in charge here? He has a letter of recommendation. Why can't they let him in? How dare he address the president like that? He shouldn't be making a fuss. Here's a man who's willing to help him process, but not today. Let him come back later. Tsuyoshi was running out of time. Leveling up was more important than anything right now. Tsuyoshi said he was in a hurry and asked if there was no other way out. He can take part in the shaman's exam. Get the maximum score as a bonus. As the president of the northern situation, the shamans will be fine. However, as a warrior, he will a priori not be able to fulfill the requirements for the exam. Tsuyoshi asked what the requirements were to pass. Everyone laughed and said he didn't even know that. What a shame. The president began to reply that he must have at least the abilities of a mage and assist the true essence of shamans. The tests would include the creation of target items. After passing, he would be able to become a white shaman. Did he understand this? Tsuyoshi asked. If anything, he'd be a mage. He'd be fine. Could he use his staff on the same thing? The president was very much surprised when the guy asked for his staff. How dare he ask the president for his staff so pricelessly? Even if he takes it, he can't become a magician. At this rate, he'll have to call the guards. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro asked to borrow it, and it would prove to fit all the requirements. The president was silent at this point, but then he agreed. It must have been interesting. He wants to see how it's yours to prove his point. Let him take it. He has no limits. A girl came up to him and asked him what he was going to do. Tsuyoshi asked as she confided in him. She agreed, for when a master asks to be trusted, he always accomplishes his goal. The white shaman was surprised that President Doug had lent him his staff. Let him prove his abilities. Tsuyoshi raised his hand at that moment. The white shaman was a little surprised. After that, he gave him a clean punch. Of course, he felt the pain at this point. If his guesses are correct, by copying the mage's skill, he will be able to use magic with this weapon. His choice is not limited by class. In theory, he can choose any. That time he was based on personal preference. He will choose radiance. Supporting magic creates a strong stream of light if it strikes enemies for 3 seconds. Magical energy is the amount of magical power in an adventurer's case and his energy reserves. Mages generally have more magical energy compared to other classes. They can increase their magical energy through meditation, study, and other practices. Magical energy is an important indicator of a mage's power. The skill Radiance has been copied. The white shaman asked Tsuyoshi what he was doing and called him a pervert. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro said that a magician can use magic with a staff. If he can use magic, then he is fit to take the shaman's exam. Magic waves. So he's not a warrior after all. When a talented magician uses magic, the energy is amplified, creating magic waves. Tsuyoshi told Sakura to close her eyes. The girl instantly closed her eyes after those words. Magic shield. A supporting magic cannot be used without the item. It will make up an imaginary shield that can protect against normal physical attacks and magic skills with relatively weak effects. Basic optical radiance is pretty good for a simple seeker, but his magic shield cannot be destroyed with magic of that level. Notice. The use of magic has been detected. Does he want to amplify his magical energy using an absolutely physical form? The main thing is the chest. That such a thing is possible is tentatively worth a try. Magical energy enhanced with a completely physical form. The power of radiance is increased. Current magic energy, 3,500. The intensity of the radiance suddenly increased. A magic shield cannot put up resistance against intense light. The light became very bright at this point. After Tsuyoshi finished, he turned to the president. He asked what he would say now. Could he sit for the exam? The president said, of course he can. He recognizes it. An exam? So people can take the shaman's exam too? This must be a joke. A person can take the healer's exam, but not the shaman's exam. This is the first time this has happened. Everyone was very much surprised. The protagonists noticed that everyone seemed to look at him as an enemy. The girl was saying at this point that the master was the first person to take the shaman's exam. They are all sure that he is up to something. Tsuyoshi asked if he had become the first. Was it all serious? Humans have a healer class similar to the Beastmen shaman class and the awakened elf class. The healer is human. The shaman is Beastman. The awakened one is elf. Human participation is not forbidden. All along, traditions have been honored. Each of the 3 classes has its own factions. An attempt to join them will, of course, be regarded as a provocation. No way. He wanted to work Cardioles to provoke them, but he realizes, however, there is no ban on participation, so he can do as he pleases. He was fine with President Doug's decision, but there was one but. It was Ilsa Pig, the title vice president of the Northern Shaman Association, Sinna Shaman class. He asked, wouldn't such a precedent reflect on the honor of the Beastmen shaman faction? As the vice president, he doubted that this person would be able to make a potion. He didn't even have the basic attributes, but he lent him the staff. Today's test will show if he can or not. He was curious to see what he could do. Perhaps no one noticed it, but for a moment he felt the magical waves emanating from the master. He had only seen such potential in the brilliant shaman Kevin. He's kidding. This guy would never match him. He wouldn't even be fit to be a servant who wore the sandals of Kevin's new apprentice. Is his student here today, too? Or is she? Yes, but she's going to take first place. So be it. Kevin himself declares that his legs are as brilliant as his own in his youth. It was Fulin, an aspiring cat mage, waiting out the shaman's exam. So this was his new apprentice? She's so young, probably also brilliant, but she knew how to make potions on her own even years ago. But due to her lack of experience, she couldn't pass until now. She will definitely take first place. Her incredible luck on the test will be a miracle. At this point, they started making noise. Afterward, she said those losers were so noisy. The shaman's exam will begin shortly. Visitors are asked to leave the site. Everyone to take their positions based on the numbers that were assigned earlier. Tsuyoshi said he had to go. After all, he was number 15. The girl wished him good luck. She would be waiting for him outside. The numbers were written on the floor. Tsuyoshi found his number. At this moment, the disciple of the great shaman Kevin was standing next to him, and she was surprised that there was a human beside her. Tsuyoshi introduced himself by name. What a cute beast girl, the complete opposite of Sakura. She asked if the person had decided to take part in the shaman's exam. It seems that someone wants to draw attention to himself. Tsuyoshi noticed that a sharp tongue was her disadvantage. She asked if everyone had taken their positions for the shaman's exam, for they must test their basic skills. They must make the potion on their own. He is sure he has chosen this path and each of them is ready for it. Tsuyoshi didn't realize what had begun to appear in front of his feet. The girl was surprised he hadn't even heard of the shaman's installation. Maybe it was time for him to go home. Tsuyoshi looked at her and thought about her leaving him alone. He thought about the process of setting up the shaman. Potions seemed to be made the old-fashioned way in this world. He had seen similar in his world, or rather in a video where the process was more automated. The president said that Vice President Pig will tell them more about the test. After that, the shaman pounded the ground. Then a magic circle formed right under his feet. Everyone looked up at that moment. Here's what the test is all about. Making a basic potion. 3 energy potions in 1 o'clock. Make 3 basic energy potions in an hour. And he'll see what the other participants are up to. First you need to pick up the ingredients, most of which are located on the shaman's rig. The level of knowledge is important in this business. Most amateurs don't even know that there are 9 types of ingredients for making energy potions. If you make a mistake with at least one ingredient, the potion will fail. The participant will be expelled for this. Tsuyoshi thought. Are there really so many participants who don't know what to choose? Usually, to make a potion, the mage gathers all the ingredients in advance. The girl said it was a shame not to remember the basic ingredients for such a simple potion. Tsuyoshi was surprised that she picked up the ingredients so quickly. At that moment, something appeared in her hand. Master Kevin has ordered her to take first place, and she will, which was basically expected of Kevin's apprentice. She's started cooking already. Her accuracy will soon be impeccable. This test is easy for her. The girl began to use shredding. She is really very fast and skillful at making potions. Despite her sharp tongue, she was incredibly skillful. Tsuyoshi realized he needed to repeat after her and activated the divine eye to analyze her actions. The president said that Kevin wasn't wrong. Fu Lin uses magic wisely. Indeed, she will surely become a great magician in the future. The girl continued making potions at this moment. She then began pouring the potion into flasks. The president began to say that the next phase is the last and most important. The girl continued to make potions. Processing has begun. Processing is the most important step in creating a potion. Mixing the ingredients with magic reflects the magical ability of the contestant. It won't be difficult for Fu Lin. At this rate, she will take first place. At this point, she continued to work on the potion. Tsuyoshi just continued to stand still. The president was surprised that he hadn't started yet. What is he waiting for? The girl began to use the merge at this point. She said it was done and realized it was easy. She called herself the best. The president told her to please wait until the end of the test to have her work checked. She sighed heavily and said that now we would have to wait for them. At that moment she turned her attention to something. She called Tsuyoshi a pervert and asked what he was staring at. At that moment, Tsuyoshi's analysis was complete. The divine eye analyzed her actions. Tsuyoshi said it was nothing like that and thanked her. That was fine. Let him not waste his time, even though he wouldn't have enough anyway. But at that moment, something surprised her. The president and vice president were also surprised by this. Tsuyoshi asked what he wanted to apply. The analyzed actions laughed. He applied them. The ingredients were automatically selected and pulverized. Potion processing was in progress. He picked the ingredients and mixed them at the same time. No, he also processed them. I didn't know he had that kind of power. All this time he has been hiding his potential. He is simultaneously sourcing, mixing and processing ingredients. Kevin had demonstrated this way of cooking in his younger years. He called it a simplification of the process. It was impossible to pull it off without outstanding strength. Could he really compare to Kevin's genius? The entrance to the Shaman Association was interesting to the girl. How was the master? Even though she trusts the master, she's still worried. I wonder if his potion will find flaws. It looks like he's done this kind of thing many times. That was good. Now he knows that there's more behind potion making than simple processing. The shaman class is quite interesting. Describing processing is the last, most important step of potion making. Mixing potions with the help of magic shaman increases its effectiveness, filling it with his power. The quality of the potion directly depends on the shaman's magic power and attribute. What's left is the processing step, which is to turn this into a potion using magic. Fu Lin couldn't believe that the protagonist had gotten through faster than her. She wouldn't let some lowly man defeat her. Maybe he was using Master Kevin's technique that he had impressed everyone with during the shaman's exam, simplifying the process. Kevin then concocted a C-rank potion using his technique. It was similar to the white shaman's potion. Back then, he was a checker, though he would hardly have prepared the C-rank potion himself. Kevin then concocted a C-rank potion using his technique. It was similar to the white shaman's potion. Back then, he was a checker, though he would hardly have prepared the C-rank potion himself. The potion's rank is rated on a scale from D to C. The rank depends on the skill of the shaman, which also affects the value of the potion. Potions of rank B and above are said to cause supernatural phenomena. To make a C-rank potion for an ordinary person is like accomplishing a feat. He succeeds because of the careful selection of ingredients. Even if he concentrates all his efforts on processing, the final product will be judged. How ridiculous. He could make a C-rank potion, provided he wasn't distracted by other young talents like Kevin. He would be happy if he could make at least a D-rank potion. A C-rank potion can only be brewed by a blue shaman, making it a highly sought-after potion on the market. However, 80% of the total sales are D-rank potions. Notice, the grade of a series of processed potions varies from D to C depending on the skill of the creator. There are potion racks that are not at all like the uniform capsules from his world. Basic energy potion rank, D. Tsuyoshi realized that this was a low rank for the exam, but it would be enough. But he has to overtake her. If she makes a C-rank potion, he will lose first place. He has no idea what C-rank means, but he needs to make at least a C-rank potion as a backup. Tsuyoshi pondered on how to do this. During processing, the rank of the potion is determined depending on the shaman's power and attribute. If he can change his magic power and attributes, the rank of the potion will also change. First, you need to increase your strength by using the skills of a completely physical form. This will increase magical energy. But how do you change attributes? Why hasn't he processed the potion? It seems like he's trying to preserve his magic. That's not good. The shaman's confidence directly affects the result. Without stable magic, he won't be able to perform the processing. I thought he said there's no such thing as so much magic, but he spent all his energy selecting the ingredients. What's the point? If he's finished processing, he can start the merger. Why hasn't he started yet? At this moment, he was approached from behind and asked if he had processed the potion yet. At this rate, his magic. Surprisingly, at this moment Fu Lin abruptly intervened and told him not to touch him. He's distracting him, and he himself doesn't even know the basic rules of shamans. He only has magic. How do I get the attributes? He wondered if the king's divine hammer might be suitable. If he borrowed its powers, he could change the magic attributes. There's no other way out. He should try it. The president has noticed that his magic waves are unstable, and they won't last long. He can feel their fluctuations. If he doesn't hold the magic, the processing will be destroyed. What a pity. Tsuyoshi began to use the king's divine hammer. Let this hammer give him its power. Everyone was very much surprised at this moment, and Fu Lin noticed that his magic power had suddenly increased. Tsuyoshi got it, and a second would be enough. Tsuyoshi began the processing and final merge. The energy potion is ready. He didn't think the trappings of using magic would be so exhausting. Was he able to surpass her? Despite the instability of the magic, he was able to process the potion. It was strange how he was able to do it. He felt the presence of another element. What had he actually done? Tsuyoshi didn't understand what was wrong. After a while, they told everyone to stop working. Whoever continues will be disqualified. Now he and the vice president will evaluate their potions. They'll start here. The odor is faint, quickly weathered and quite simple. The potion hardly fits the rank of D. They congratulated him. He passed. It was a great honor for him. He thanked the president. The vice president said the potion was smoky and smelled like curry. He overprocessed it. The test was a failure. Consuming such a potion will weaken all the characteristics. Let it cook. Of course, there were those who passed the tests and those who failed them. At that moment, it was Fulin's turn. He asked how Kevin was doing. She thanked him for his concern and told him that the master was doing well. He's glad to hear that. He then said that this tantalizing flavor looks promising. Of course, the girl was pleased to hear that. Expensive lasting flavor, purest processing. This is a basic C-rank energy potion. Fulin was satisfied that she hadn't let her master down. She had done well. Everyone was surprised that she had a ranked potion, just like Kevin's genius. However, she really turned out to be talented as expected of Kevin's disciple. Her talents and skills were incomparable, and she would take first place without a doubt. Thanks to her training, she began to process potions faster, which amazed everyone. Tsuyoshi said impressively. Now it was Tsuyoshi's turn. The president came up and asked what he thought the outcome was, adding that he had done his best. Tsuyoshi was unsure of himself and thought that at best he had succeeded in a rank D potion. He had done his best and was sure it was enough, but the rank would be checked later. The president opened Tsuyoshi's potion. As soon as the potion was opened, a strong aura immediately began to emanate from it. Everyone noticed the flash of lightning, which was a supernatural phenomenon. The potion was rated a minimum of rank B. It was unbelievable. Only someone whose strength was comparable to Master Kevin's could craft a rank B potion. Everyone was greatly surprised and did not expect this turn of events. The potion emitted a rich flavor. Its processing was flawless, and it looked like a supernatural phenomenon. The president told Pigo that it looks like they weren't wrong. This guy could be even more dangerous than Kevin himself. Tsuyoshi noticed that processing the potion was very exhausting, but he was confident that he had gotten first place in the shaman exam. The entrance to the Shaman Association was now open. The girl was worried about the master's condition. She was very worried and asked if the master was out yet. After that question, Tsuyoshi shouted to her not to worry. Sakura greeted him happily, asking if everything was all right as she had been worried sick. He apologized for worrying and said that the exam was coming to an end. The girl asked how it went. Tsuyoshi said he did well and came back to her with first place. She was very surprised by his success and thought it was incredible and a great job. With such immense power, she asked if he wanted to process Cardioles. Cardioles is a rare item that drops after defeating a boss. Once processed, it can be used to connect with areas of darkness, allowing you to increase the experience points gained tenfold. Adventurers looking to gain experience are eager to get their hands on it to increase their chances. Tsuyoshi said that he needed this item to level up. He had already ranked first, and now he needed to fulfill that wish. She inquired who taught him how to cook. Tsuyoshi replied that he had learned on his own and had no teacher. Tsuyoshi confirmed that no one had taught him this and he had done it all by himself. They were both surprised and asked if he felt sorry for learning everything on his own. After processing the items, he will be given a shaman's garb. At this time, Fulina was standing behind them. She apologized to the master, saying she lost and felt sorry for herself. At that moment, Sakura heard Kevin's name. She realized that the girl was Kevin's student. Tsuyoshi noticed that the girl had stopped and asked what was wrong. She replied with a disgruntled look on her face that it was nothing. She was just thinking. Tsuyoshi said they needed to go, as there was another target waiting for them after processing. Sakura agreed with the master. They entered the ritual room. At this time the president spoke the following words: Mother of Earth, Fire, Spirit, Breath of Wind, Guardian of the four great elements, let him hear his call. With the words and name of the shaman, let him process Cardioles again. Cardioles was filled with the power of darkness, and a special ritual was needed to process it. Let it dissolve into mist and shine brightly, a stone that was lucky, for the president would be processing it personally. Tsuyoshi asked if it was a spell used by shamans, and remarked that shamans were also magicians in a sense. He added that the stronger the spell, the farther it was cast, and that the likely rituals belonged to a certain kind of magic. Let its spirit be cleansed. The softness of water, the streams of wind dispel the powers of darkness. Fill it with light without blemish. Let it cleanse the stone. The shaman's name is commanded to breathe new life into the stone. Now only he would be able to use this Cardioles. The protagonist thanked, noting that the ritual had been impressive. Cardioles come in low, medium, and high grades. Seekers often die in areas of darkness using low-grade Cardioles, which eventually become part of the darkness. This one, however, was of the medium grade. The protagonist realized that he was lucky, as now the experience points in the zones will be much higher. Of course, the higher the difficulty, the higher the reward. But the dark zones will not be ordinary. From his experience, he said that their team would require 1 tank, 2 warriors, 2 mages, and 1 healer, and asked which of them would go with him. The protagonist asked about the composition of the team, since it only included them. Sakura replied that she didn't count, since her participation would cause the master's experience points to be split in half. Everyone was greatly surprised that he was going to go into the area of darkness alone. It was the entrance to the zone. He could enter it now and twice after that. After each time, new dark monsters would appear in the zone. In total, he could enter it 3 times, and upon his return, Cardioles would turn into ashes and disappear. Once he entered the zone, he couldn't get out. He would have to either defeat all the monsters or wait for the end of his stay time. If he died, there was one more way to get out of there. The girl said it would never happen. The master is right. Everything will be fine. Sakura said for the master to take the potion the money earned on their last mission. She had replenished the supply. He would definitely need it during the battle. The main character said she was as thoughtful as ever. Let her wait for him, and off he went. The president told him to wait, reminded him that he had returned the staff to him and then asked how he would use magic. If he wanted, he could give it back to him. The protagonist thanked and said he wouldn't need the staff. He's a warrior. The protagonist started walking into the portal. The girl said he was please be careful. They didn't understand what it meant that he was a warrior. Since he had such a talent for magic, he would be able to accomplish his goal by impatiently waiting for it. Zone of Darkness. Dark Forest. Remaining time 12 o'clock. If he leaves the zone of his own volition, it will take 12 o'clock to reopen the entrance. So when he leaves the zone, he has to wait until 12 o'clock before it reopens. We have to beat Mozart as soon as possible. He doesn't have time to wait. Dark Wolf. Level 10. Classification. Forest Wolf. Characteristics. Attacks with sharp claws. Most often attacks in packs. Weakness is fire. They were eating meat at this point. A pack of dark wolves. You can't let them circle him. And don't underestimate their speed. The protagonist realized that he had to finish as soon as possible, needing to increase his strength with an absolutely physical form. Absolutely physical form was activated. Arm strength increased. The protagonist told them not to snap their teeth. Of course it worked, and it affected them. He then used the thunder chain. The main character was easily fighting them at this point. 500 experience points gained. The same amount as for defeating a normal monster. That's impressive. Experience points are much higher in this world. Great. He could be back soon. Upping his game. The paralysis effect has expired and its duration depends on the enemy's combat power and level. The protagonist was surprised that the paralysis effect wore off so quickly. The darkness was incredibly strong, unbearable for ordinary monsters. Incredible speed. If he had been slower, his throat would have been ripped open. At this point, the important thing is that you notice. They blocked the view on their comrade, which was smart. In this case, absolutely physical form is activated at 60%. Concentrated in the hands, strength and speed increased. Holding the weapon with both hands, he releases maximum power. The protagonist decides that he must strike out at Natali. This way, he would quickly raise the level and be able to reach the 7th level on his first attempt. The president asked the girl if she was worried. This is the first time he's ever seen someone go into a zone of darkness alone, unless that person is exceptionally powerful. Sakura, of course, trusted the master. He's seen a lot of talented guys who have died because of overconfidence, but this is the first time he's met someone who went to fight the boss in the dark zone alone. He hopes this young man will acquit himself. The girl was displeased with Pigpy's words. Tsuyoshi continuously struggled. His stamina and willpower were running low. Absolute physical strength was wearing down his body. Sakura's potions really came in handy. Tsuyoshi drank the potion at that moment. He had completely forgotten how awful they tasted. Notice. Stamina and willpower restored. We need to keep it up. Sakura and the president were still standing there waiting for Tsuyoshi. The girl asked him if he would wait. He worries if this young man will return safely. He remembered his words about being a warrior who passed the shaman's exam to process cardioles, and concocted a top-class potion. At that moment, he heard some sounds. Sakura said it was the sounds of a master's skill. As long as they can hear them, they can't be sure it was him. At this moment in the darkness zone, of course, Tsuyoshi was still fighting. At the moment, Tsuyoshi was fighting the dark wolves. He launched a series of attacks over and over again. Great. Only their boss left. He was a bit tired, but he finally got to the hardest part, the final boss. He will be able to reach the 7th level. Maybe we should get some rest before the fight. At that moment, Tsuyoshi crouched down and started drinking the potion. He said it tasted disgusting when he wasn't used to it yet. The capsule had a pleasant taste, but the potions in this world were much more effective. The strength was completely restored. Tsuyoshi said that it was an excellent potion and continued on his way. A huge eye immediately looked at him. Tsuyoshi stood very confidently in front of his opponent at this moment. Then he began to approach forward. The enemy came out to him at this point. His level and the level of the darkness minion boss he had recently defeated were the same. It must be the boss of the darkness zone. Absolute physical strength activated. Hand strength increased. When attacking with both hands, the strength is increased by 60%. It was a level 14 wandering dark forest darkness zone boss. He immediately went on the attack. It took Tsuyoshi a split second to notice it. Tsuyoshi didn't make it back in time and had to fight back. He noticed that his opponent's movements were very fast. It was incredible strength. The boss was looking at him at that moment. His body was shaking. Was it the effect of his skill or something else? A slowing shiver. A strong effect for wielders of exceptional power, whose influence is difficult to contain. The spirit of the wielder frightens the enemy and slows their movement. Tsuyoshi asked himself to move. He also asked his body to move. At this point, it actually worked, and his body began to move. Notice. The effect of the slowing shiver has expired. After that, the guy said that he wouldn't give up so easily, and the infinity ring threw up a stream of pure energy. Was that why the effect didn't last long, or did it have to do with it knocking him down? The boss looked at him in surprise at this moment. Tsuyoshi called him a bore and said he wouldn't die that easily. They did not consider each other after that. The boss told the guy that he was strong, not so easy it seems, and was able to destroy his slowing shiver. Tsuyoshi was surprised that he could talk. He thought the darkness was a bunch of beasts unable to speak. The boar said that darkness is the supreme being. He began to move at this point. Tsuyoshi realized that this was once again a technique he had seen before. If he had a dark knee set, he would have been able to use the roaring tentacles to attack his weak point. But she had become his in her world. After that, the boss used a bloody attack. Notice. The strength of the black sword cold sword was reduced by 30%. Tsuyoshi Kakishiro noticed this and realized that the enemy was too strong. Every weapon or item has a durability characteristic. The lower the strength, the less dangerous and effective the weapon becomes. A blacksmith can restore the durability of a weapon or item. This technique has the effect of impairing vision. He was too fast, and Tsuyoshi was unable to block the blow. After that, the boss managed to hit Tsuyoshi Chikashiro. Then the protagonist himself went on the attack. He hit him once, and he immediately started bleeding. He could have died because bleeding is an effect that some weapons have. When the victim receives such a wound, his health gradually decreases. The effect lasts until the wound heals or the victim dies. You can get rid of the effect by using a special skill, potion or magic. Tsuyoshi realized that without the potion, he would simply die from blood loss. He must overpower him before the bleeding got worse. Maybe he should give up his last attempts to leave the area of darkness. But if he stays here, he won't be able to stop the blood and will die. But anyway, he's gonna kill him, no matter what. The boss was quite surprised that Tsuyoshi continued to fight. Tsuyoshi told the boar to retaliate for his attack. Tsuyoshi didn't understand how he did it, why he didn't repel the attack. At that moment, the boar literally grabbed the zipper with his hands. The lightning was stuck in the ground and couldn't do any damage. The boar said it was hilarious. Tsuyoshi Chikashiro moved, realizing that the skill didn't work, and that was bad. The boar said it would spin him around, and it wouldn't even need a sacrifice to do it. Tsuyoshi didn't realize what kind of victim this was or what it was even about. After that, the boss began to use a powerful attack. The attack was indeed very powerful, resulting in an explosion. The boss said that just his level was enough for him. After that, Tsuyoshi literally sank into the ground. The boar said Tsuyoshi lost his weapon. All of this proved useless. Next time he promised to kill him. But at that moment he noticed something and didn't realize what it was or who he was. Who had the victim now, and why it was him. The boar couldn't understand how he could have a rare darkness skill or who he even was. Tsuyoshi said as he approached, he was able to attack. He copied the victim's skill mentioned with his own skill. A reckless move to achieve new power. The skill? Sacrifice. By sacrificing half of his blood, the owner removes all debuffs, gains great strength, and improves the strongest skill. The duration of the skill is 60 seconds. Now he will be able to tear his flesh into pieces with his bare hands. Tsuyoshi used a new skill called Physical Sacrifice. Absolute physical strength was activated and he received the evil power of the Sacrifice skill. His physical form improved 3 times. It turned out that it increased the strain on his body. The enemy didn't understand why a human could use darkness skills. Tsuyoshi said it was the easiest thing for him to do. The special attribute of the Chosen One gave the ability to copy and use any skill regardless of race or level. The strength of the copied skill depended on the combat power of the wearer. After that, there was an explosion on the battlefield. The enemy was doing nothing at all at this point. He only reflected on how fast Tsuyoshi was. After that, the guys simply attacked him. Tsuyoshi attacked him with all his might. Of course, the opponent had no choice but to take the blows. He was surprised that Tsuyoshi was so strong. His weapon was already damaged, but he still hoped he could use brute force to use it. Weapon damage meant that any item could be broken or weakened under certain conditions. Tsuyoshi said that in the remaining time he had left, he was prepared to kill him any way he could. Time was short and his opponent's health was not regenerating, so he only had 1 attempt left. The amount of blood lost could not be replenished during the application of the sacrifice skill. The opponent asked if Tsuyoshi was facing danger or just laughing at that moment. He asked if Tsuyoshi had forgotten about it. He could also apply the sacrifice skill. He called the guy a stupid person. His sacrifice was nothing more than a ruse. The sacrifice skill allowed, by sacrificing half of his blood, to remove all debuffs, gain great strength and improve the strongest skill. The duration was 60 seconds. Tsuyoshi said he hadn't forgotten about it at all. He remembered that he could break his opponent's legs with his weapon. Had he forced him to drop his weapon deliberately, or was it a deliberate maneuver? Tsuyoshi started to say what he wanted to say. He said that the opponent must sacrifice half of his blood. The enemy didn't understand how this was possible. Had he just copied him? He was an ordinary person. After all, why was it so crushing? He was now unarmed. It remained to be seen if he could survive the Thunderchain's impact. Let him sacrifice half of his blood, and in return it will give him absolute power. The boss of the Darkness Zone was completely gripped by despair. He still didn't understand why the man was capable of all this. Tsuyoshi said, making his opponent realize his foolishness. Tsuyoshi reported that he had defeated the boss wandering through the dark forest. He had successfully passed the Dark Zone and had 2 attempts left. The effects of sacrifice had ended. The guy noticed that his body was completely exhausted and his insides were torn. The sacrifice skill was strong, but combined with his absolute form, it overloaded his body. He got the weapon of the boss wandering through the dark forest. Tsuyoshi rejoiced, for he had just lost his weapon. The weapon, White-Winged Mist, the weapon of a boss wandering through the dark forest, has been obtained. The blade is white, and any wounds inflicted with this weapon do not heal. The blood attack passive makes it even more dangerous. Restarting the trial will waste 1 attempt, but he can come back and continue exploring. If he continues the trial, however, he will receive 50% bonus experience points. Tsuyoshi made the decision to restart the quest. Tsuyoshi had already reached the 7th level. Right now, the damage received could not be healed. Tsuyoshi thought his physical strength would improve, but it was causing a lot of trouble. The pain subsided when he leveled up, but its echoes could still be felt. Using dark skills was rarely without consequences, and their price was quite high. Perhaps he should have gone out and rested for a while. If he went to the 2nd round, he would definitely have to use sacrifice again. Would his body be able to withstand it? Besides, Sakura had said that staying in the area of darkness without being able to resupply was very dangerous. He should have reached level 12 in a week, gaining 5 to 6 new levels. Experience points would help him feel more confident in this world. That was the price of power. There was no room for doubt. Could he continue the ordeal without determination? If he loses, he's left with nothing. He chose to stay. Let the space accept him and he would return to the entrance. Tsuyoshi apologized to Sakura for keeping her waiting. At this point, on the other end, the following was happening. Sakura thought about the fact that he should have been back by now. She was told not to worry. Tsuyoshi decided to continue the challenge as it would help him earn bonus experience points. But she wondered if he had lost. Or had he really decided to continue the challenge? Without a supply of potions, his chances of survival were extremely slim. For an adventurer in the Darkness Zone, it could mean doom. She remembered that the guy had promised to get out after the first round, but there were still thunderclaps to be heard. Their comrade came up to them and said he had had time to sleep and the guy still wasn't done. The first round was long over, but he was nowhere to be seen. Maybe he had hidden somewhere and was sitting there shivering with fear? He was told to watch his language. However, he kept saying that it was pointless. Did he really believe that the guy would be able to pass the darkness zone on his own? He shouldn't have given him vain hopes. He said the guy was lying. He'd seen a lot of them before. If he had won, he would have come back a long time ago. If he didn't show up after the first stage, then he had lost or decided to start over. Unfortunately, it could cost him his life, because he simply wouldn't have enough healing potions. But Sakura was sure that her master would surely return. Let the others refrain from such talk. The lightning discharges proved that he was alive. The president realized that the girl was strong. He laughed and asked if they were joking. What other thunder? His death would be their fault, because they had only reinforced his confidence. At that moment, Sakura turned to him with a furious expression on her face and started saying that if he even once more. At that moment, they saw the bloodlust in her. The president tapped his stick and told them to shut up and not make a showdown. Let her wait for the boy's return in silence. Pig can go now. Pig said he was just telling the truth. Let them look at their faces when they see him and his exhausted body. At this point, the president couldn't stand it and told him to fuck off. How could the bloodlust not be noticed at all? This beast girl's abilities were simply limitless. At that moment they both noticed something, and the president realized what was happening. The girl at this point said that the Thunder Master had gone quiet. Pig paid attention too, and wondered if there was anything to say now. To want to go into the zone of darkness by a mere man alone was foolish. At that moment, something was happening again. The president didn't realize what the other sound was. What was that feeling even for himself? Broken seal? It can't be that at all. That's when the president said to get everybody ready. It's coming through. Pig couldn't believe it either. Darkness would never be able to break the seal of the darkness zone. But at this point, the girl told them to wait. At that moment, Tsuyoshi finally appeared and immediately apologized to the girl for waiting. He went through 3 rounds, gaining bonus experience points on each round and raising his level several times. He's now level 9. At this point the guy started to fall and the girl started to catch him. Pig was very much surprised that the guy had completed 3 stages in one go. How much strength does this young man have hidden in him? Sakura began to beg for them to help him sooner rather than later. At this point, the girl started applying the treatment to the guy. Pig and the president also began to help out. The president told the guy that his muscles and nerves were severely damaged. He just miraculously survived. Tsuyoshi said he was feeling much better thanks to the treatment. Sakura said that he had been reckless and failed to keep his promise. The guy apologized and said he'd be more careful from now on. He just couldn't refuse the bonus experience point. Reaching level 9 was a great reward. She understands how much he needs the experience points, but she cares more about his safety. Make him promise to keep his promises. The president remembered the main character's words that he had passed 3 times. Was it true? Pig looked at the president at this point. The president wouldn't have believed it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. Fighting the darkness alone 3 times? He doesn't understand. When this guy came out of the zone, the power of evil bypassed the power of darkness. That's why he thought that the darkness itself had broken the barrier. This guy's ability is excellent not only in magic but also in combat. If Kevin was a genius, then this man surpassed the genius himself. Pig was ready to say something. He would like to apologize for his words. I apologize for underestimating his power. But Tsuyoshi said he helped him with the treatment, so let him not worry. And the girl said he was done for. The reflection effect they didn't use was a mid-level healing skill. He had healed almost all but the deepest wounds. His body is still in critical condition. Reflection of this level is popular among adventurers. It can heal almost all types of physical injuries. He came out of there with serious injuries all over his body, bleeding and nerve damage. If they hadn't treated him right away, he could have died. It seems he used some secret magic or skill. From now on, let him not use it. Its danger might prevent him from leveling up in the future. Tsuyoshi understood what interfere meant. He just wanted to raise the level. The victim still gave him a hard time. He only thought of killing her and lost his mind. These were huge risks. What's he gonna do now? Tsuyoshi was very much surprised when he saw some kind of eye in front of him. Sakura noticed his strange behavior and immediately started asking what was wrong. But Tsuyoshi said there was nothing wrong. He was just tired. The special skill had damaged not only his body but also his mind. It's not worth using it anymore. The president said he'd give him a potion. Have him take it once a day and meditate on it to speed up its absorption. Pig asked the president if he was sure that was the potion he wanted to give. Tsuyoshi thanked, but Sakura apparently realized immediately what the potion was. It was Kevin's favorite potion to help him recover. He advises him to meet Kevin in person. If he sees talent in him, he will take him on as an apprentice and pass on more amazing knowledge of magic. He is one of the few inhabitants of these lands who possess the legendary law of destruction. Sakura was surprised that Kevin had found the legendary law of destruction. What was it? And Tsuyoshi didn't understand what it was. Pig asked, shouldn't adventurers know about this? There are laws governing magic in this world. Magic used in accordance with these laws is incredibly powerful and is called a forbidden spell of destruction. Shamans strive to improve the effectiveness and quality of their potions, but the laws on magic are incredibly cruel. Some of them have a will of their own, and there are 12 laws, each in unexplored areas. To take possession of them, one must possess outstanding skills. The stone monument of the laws of destruction was erected to honor the 12 laws that were passed down to them by great mages throughout the world. Each of the laws is powerful and capable of destroying the entire world. The first law was written back in ancient times. Kevin was dubbed a genius because 10 years ago he possessed the 12th law, the law of great winds. He was able to improve his math ability, which helped him in processing potions. He improved not only the efficiency and quality, but also the unification of their law powers. He will be able to heal his deep wounds. Tsuyoshi asked if that was true. Sakura asked if these masters could cure him. It's not a good time to meet. He used to be his mentor. If they gave him a letter of recommendation, he would meet with them. Tsuyoshi thanked him for the opportunity to meet. Have them take some rare potions and valuable ingredients with them to exchange with him later. Then they said goodbye and left. Pig asked the president why this guy caught his attention so much. He gave him the B-rank forbidden blood potion for nothing. Gave him the potion that hadn't been traded from Kevin, sewing up a lot of valuable potions and ingredients. But he wondered how high this man would climb by lending him a helping hand. He had made an investment in the future. Pig said it was a risky investment. Few geniuses could make it to the zone where we are, alone. The few were human. The president said that he had never heard of people going into the zone of darkness alone. But this case was far from the first in history. There have been other brave men. 1,000 years ago, a great consciousness gave their Beastmen clan to King Garces, the ancient god. Tsuyoshi asked the girl if she knew where to find Kevin. Sakura replied that the president had said they had a long way to go, but they would be able to level up along the way. They would certainly be able to achieve their goal. Tsuyoshi asked, wondering what the catch was. It takes a team to enter this dungeon. Sakura was surprised that there were so many people here. It's what's called a reference point. Most seekers gather here and, after a time, disperse to different areas. This place was on their way, so she led him here. A checkpoint is a place where a dungeon is randomly opened and special bonuses can be earned for completing it. These are usually reserved for a certain number of participants. The protagonist noticed that there was a place like this here. It looked like a shop, and would he give it a try? In this world, the choice of dungeons is much more varied. It might be worth trying his skills here. Tsuyoshi indicated that he would go, and the girl said she would watch with him. At that moment, someone shouted that they were looking for a level 15 warrior or tank with over 6,000 combat power, generously rewarded with bonuses. Let them approach. They will depart once they have the right number of participants. This team is here for the second day. The bonuses are good, but no one is in a hurry to accept the ID assignments. It seems like they won't go home with anything today. Among those present, there is no one with combat power equal to 6,000 in level 15. The captain is stubborn. At this point, the captain suggested choosing another dungeon. They had already wasted 2 days on this. If anyone wanted to join, they would have already done so. There was no need to lose even more points. The captain told him to shut up and added that he hadn't forgotten how much the information about this dungeon cost. It's a level 12 dungeon. Besides, it's the only one where you can get a blood rose. One of them costs 500 silver. No one will take on a low-level dungeon. Blood rose is a rare potion ingredient that greatly increases the effect of healing and is popular among shamans and mages, selling at a high price. Maybe someone will volunteer another time without a different number of participants. They still won't be able to come out. The head king approached them and asked if he could join them. His level is a little lower, but he is confident. At this moment, everyone turned their attention to him hopefully. He was their savior, and the captain asked if he had a level 14. Even a 13 would do. If a 12 they couldn't provide him. When the captain finished speaking, the protagonist said that he was level 9, but they couldn't leave the vanguard to him. What can he even do at level 9? And he states it so easily, as if it's normal. At this point, it was announced that there were 10 minutes left before the aisle was closed. The captain was told that if they missed this chance, they would lose another day. Let him decide. Why don't they take a level 9 warrior? They can't do it on their own, right? Otherwise, they won't be able to recoup the cost of the information. The captain realized he had no other choice. He started shouting to the guy to listen to him. They don't stand a chance, but let him not dare to be AWOL while passing. Let him listen to his orders. Their foursome had already taken it hard enough not to take him for quantity. It suited him. The main character said he would be happy to join the team for the first time. The captain was pleased to meet him. The protagonist said they were going forward, at which point the captain reflected on the fact that this was the first time a guy had joined the team. They entered a level 16 dungeon, and at that moment, there was just a level 16 forest rhinoceros, a huge creature that was not susceptible to physical attacks, and its weakness was lightning. Its combat power was 7,600. At that moment, someone said that this is a level 16 dungeon. The captain started to say that he wasn't sure they'd be able to get out of here at these levels. It's time for the damn CI. If he doesn't get out of here, he'll just nail him. It's scary to imagine what the dungeon boss would be like if the first opponent was a forest rhino. The captain said it's okay. I mean, they're level 15. They've been through a lot of difficult dungeons together. They're doing the same as always, and will definitely give it back. He's not sure if it will work, but you have to use the return horn. This is an incredibly expensive item that allows you to leave a dungeon. Its use may be limited to special dungeons. The horn can only be purchased at an auction. At this point, the captain didn't realize where that warrior had gone. The captain was informed that the guy was here when they came in. Just at that moment, the protagonist began to attack the rhino with the thunder chain. They were all greatly surprised when they saw in front of them. Tsuyoshi said it was great compared to those guys in the zone of darkness. It's just a lightweight. The captain was very much surprised that the lad had overpowered him on his own. The protagonist said they followed him and that he spent quickly. He's looking forward to the bonuses. A level 16 dungeon. The captain yelled that there was another one behind the tree there, and stars would deal with him. A wind archer with a combat power of 6,230 said it was level 9. Unbelievable. Was he really able to overcome this dungeon by himself? He barged in here and easily defeated the smaller monsters. How does he know their weaknesses? It's hard to believe he's level 9. He doesn't even need any potions. The priestess of light spoke. The captain asks if he has any connections. Who is this guy with these skills? He must be known. He knows many people, but he remembers not all of them. He knows those who gave him information about this dungeon. This warrior must be a member of an elite guild, and he's seen him somewhere but just forgot. The protagonist thought about the fact that this dungeon seems like nothing compared to the zone of darkness. It gives more experience points than his world. In this dungeon, level 16 monsters are weaker than level 11 monsters. They are half as strong as their kin from there. Level 16 characteristics utilize vine with poisonous thorns. Their weakness is fire. Their poisonous thorns are no threat to him now. His divine eye allows him to see the weaknesses of all opponents. For clearing this dungeon, one can get a blood rose that he can give to Kevin. The boss fight is about to start. The small monsters are getting bigger and bigger, and they are afraid of fire. Will their mage be able to attack it or not? He said it was his turn to shine now. That they should beware of vines. Their thorns are poisonous. The captain didn't realize how he knew so much about these monsters. The captain didn't understand. After all, a guy at level 9 couldn't possibly have that much experience. He must be hiding his true abilities. Fire magic. Floating whirlpool. Mr. 1 is incredibly strong. He would probably clear out this dungeon without a problem. He started calling him master. The girl said he didn't look like a seeker of this world. He was special. The protagonist said hello to the captain and learned that his name was Victor. The man said they didn't expect to meet such a nice warrior. Who was he? He said he was just a rookie seeker. The man, of course, couldn't believe he called himself a rookie and said they would talk about it later. By the way, he already knows about the dungeon ranking of each region. Tsuyoshi said she didn't understand why he was even asking. The man asked if he was lying. The points for completing this dungeon are different from those that disappear over time. Each region has fixed points. Their number varies, but dungeon rankings are recorded. All sweeps and participant data is recorded in it. First passes, best scores for each dungeon. In other words, you can get not only bonuses but also glory for their sweeps. Ratings are sent out to all guilds, and seekers can look at them. This can bring great popularity to his guild and team. The protagonist asked why he was saying all this. His world had a similar system, so it must be the same here. This team has been assembled. He is actually a member of Guild Q, an elite group of 15 seekers better known as Team Big Goat. Their captain is one of the guild's founders, the Big Goat's winemaker Harvey. The protagonist asked what he was getting at. A new level 18 dungeon has recently opened up. Within it, small snow winter monsters are hiding in the swamp. They're pretty hard to defeat, and lack of information about their weaknesses will prove to be a problem. But he knows quite a bit about monsters and can be useful in a sweep. The main character said that this dungeon with snow winter monsters should be worthy. Yes, if you sweep him, the first pass result will be added to the rankings, which opens up additional bonuses. So competing teams fight to sweep him first. If he's interested, can set him up with this captain. The protagonist realized that this could be a good opportunity to gain the attributes needed to level up. Even though he's a level 9 warrior, he wants to participate in a level 18 dungeon sweep. There are many different dungeons, where different abilities are required, so they need seekers up to level 18. So there's no problem with that. Tsuyoshi said she was glad to hear that. He was willing to match the terms. Of course, the captain was curious what those terms were, but if they were acceptable, he would think about the extra reward. Let him speak. He seems to trust him. If he agrees to join them and tell them about the weaknesses of the Darkness Zone monsters, they will have an advantage. It would definitely count against him, and he could raise his status in the guild. The protagonist said the first word, he would give him all the experience points for the sweep, and the second word, he would pick his own reward for passing. Everything else would go to them. The captain said that even if he agreed, the captain and the others were unlikely to approve. He should be the one to consult with them. That then they would not return to the conversation when they came out of the dungeon. There was not much left, and they were on their way. At this moment, they came out of the dungeon. They dealt the final blow to the captain of magic and fire, hitting right on the weak point. The boss was powerless against magic and fire, so everything went smoothly. But without the protagonist, they wouldn't have gotten the timing right. It took over 10 seconds to see the sighting. He told him about the boss's weaknesses, how it's his and even what. And the hysteria is unbelievable and damaging. He said he got his share and they could divide the basic between them. Okay, they're splitting up. He'll split the bonus awards. The captain asked the guy if he had time. He'd like to introduce him to the captain. Let him wait. He had to warn someone. Sakura had said that he had already been called to the team. That was incredible. She on the other hand needed to reach level 30 to even get an invitation. Let him be careful. This is a very valuable experience for him. She would gather information in the nearest town and report back to him as soon as she returned. The protagonist said it would come in handy. If he can't find it, they'll meet at the Seekers Guild. There are a few selves and some money here, for about 3 days. The main character said thanks fine and said he was off. The girl wished him luck. Super. She has time to get information on the genius Kevin. If he really did possess the law of the great winds, her assassination plan will have to be tweaked. At this point, the man was unhappy with the level 9 warrior's 2 conditions. Victor is with him now. It was actually Captain Harvey, a big goat, a great shield warrior with a combat strength of 7,600, who spoke. A level 9 warrior was going to lead his elite team whose average level was 16. Let him not make him laugh. But Victor was proving to him that the guy was right. Just unbelievable. Thanks to him they got the bloody rose. Vaughn's level 9 sandals aren't worthy of them. The interaction with that idiot must have clouded his judgment. It seems he won't be able to participate in the sweep from now on. Don't let him waste their time. This was all Luke's talk. For Captain Oster, language level 17, warrior class with 2 flaming blades, combat power 6,930. Everyone laughed at him, but he proved it was all true. If they don't believe it, let them meet him in person. The captain asked, was the guy here? Victor told him that Don had brought him and that he was waiting at the entrance. He could tell Luke was saying that he'd brought someone he didn't know, that he'd lost his fear. Victor said he was over it. He was constantly bullying him. It's time to show who's right here. The captain said he would meet with him. Victor thanked him. Victor then began to walk the protagonist out. The main character introduced himself as a level 9 warrior and said it was nice to meet you. At this point, everyone was leering at him. Luke started laughing and telling them to just look at him. He reeked of weakness. Victor told the guy to ignore it. The captain tells the guy that Victor told him he could clear the new dungeon. How confident he is. The protagonist said he's 100% sure of himself. But he has one more condition. The man laughed and asked if he was 100% sure and what his condition was. Tsuyoshi asked to be their captain. At this moment some bug flew straight into the fire, and accordingly died immediately. The captain was really surprised when he heard that the guy wanted to be captain of their elite team. He's out of his mind. In front of him stands the big goat himself, Captain Harvey. The team is made up of the most famous seekers. Don't make him laugh. Victor asked him what other captain. It was all absurd. Tsuyoshi said it was necessary for the dungeon cleanup. Don't let him worry. This time the dungeon will come out, and other teams like them have lost multiple times at the same location. Each attempt costs Celis and items. The more people participating, the higher the price. They've already spent 2 gold pieces, but we're talking about a lot of money. If he lets him be captain, he promises they will clear this dungeon. How dare he say such a thing? Have the captain just kick him out. But at this moment, to the surprise of all, the man accepted all his terms. But if his words proved to be idle chatter, let no mercy await him. Luke started to ask if he was joking. Tsuyoshi said it was fine. They could easily clean it up if they worked as a team. Luke didn't understand how the captain could trust this guy. What would a level 9 weakling be capable of? Did they have any other options? Without him, they'd just waste another try. But his captain's case, he's level 9. It's obvious deception. The big jerks have been having a lot of bad luck lately, and Victor's been trying to influence him. They should kick him out now. The captain asked if he knew how much they were ridiculed by the other guilds. They couldn't accomplish anything and endured scorn from them. If they cleared this dungeon first, their reputation would be restored. Now they have no other choice but to seize this opportunity. Even if it's a hoax, let this guy answer for it. Before entering the dungeon, someone asked if they were big goats. Are they going to go into the dungeon again today or what? They'll probably use the return horn again, but let them wait. It's not Harvey leading the team today. Who's the weird one with the outfit? Are they little goats or what? Did they change leader or what? Acting arrogant, future weaklings. They won't be able to feed themselves at this rate. Let them spend their money wisely. The captain of that team always mocked them, but honestly, there's only truth in what he said. The enumerated losses didn't lead them to anything. So the captain and the rest of the team are under a lot of pressure, and things have gotten worse recently. Tsuyoshi said okay, and he understood. He apologized for getting in his way. He asked Harvey if it was their new leader, another upstart. They will see how he behaves when they once again come back using the horn. The team has checked into the dungeon. Please let them enter. Tsuyoshi said lastly that they would see about that. All right, they're gonna start. Victor said that the swamp of this dungeon is inhabited by unexplored monsters of the darkness zone, but with a divine eye there should be no problem. He will show the team an example of professional mopping up. Welcome to the Swamp Shadows dungeon, level 18. Entry requirements: 12 to 17 team members whose levels must exceed level 18. Harvey asked what they were going to do, and Tsuyoshi replied that he had a plan. He asked if he was collecting all the experience points for himself. To them, the honor of the team is more important, so yes, it's important for them to clear the dungeon first. Let him not disappoint them. He made sure of their Benham situation himself. He took a lot of responsibility. Put him in charge. If they fail, let Tsuyoshi prepare for the consequences. Tsuyoshi said he understood. He asked everyone to get ready and listen to his instructions, then said they would begin. Luke can't believe they're going to give all the experience points to this guy. They'll see about that. Tsuyoshi stated that they will deal with monsters that have a high difficulty level. Each dungeon is divided into easy and high difficulty levels. On the high level, all rewards are tripled, including experience points. With the lost points of all team members, he will be able to go up 2 or even 3 levels. Notice, he chose a high difficulty level. The strength of all monsters and their attributes tripled. The captain was greatly surprised that Tsuyoshi had chosen a high difficulty level. Everyone thought it was a mistake. Was it true? Something was wrong here. It was suicide. Victor didn't understand what he was doing. The high difficulty level couldn't be activated unless he had explored the dungeon thoroughly. Was he mistaken or what? Luke calls him an idiot and tells him that no one has been able to clear even the easy level, and the high level is several times harder. Does he want to endanger them, or what? He said he doesn't want to waste time. They'll be ridiculed again when they return. He waited for the right moment. He made the mistake of being an idiot himself by choosing a high difficulty level. It was a good thing he had brought the return horn with him. Because of that Cretan, they would have to use it to get out of here. This guy probably tricked them. Tsuyoshi said that if he had brought them here, then he had a plan. Let everyone follow him. The difficulty level didn't matter. With so many people they wouldn't be able to clear it without difficulty. Luke starts to ask if the guy thinks they'll make it, having previously failed the easy level. Let him cut the crap. He got them in here, but he realizes it's a life-threatening situation. This isn't a game. If he wants to die, let him go alone. The divine eye had been activated. Great. Everything was going according to plan. In a swampy area, weak monsters are afraid of lightning. Weakness analysis. Let them use fire and the electrical conductivity of water. Lightning attacks can lead to unexpected results. The divine eye determines their weakness. Have them use it wisely. If they concentrate, they can improve the divine eye. Luke says this club is coming forward. It's a toothy crocodile. There are so many of them, it's the end. Definitely the end. The captain himself did not understand. Had he really deceived them? Tsuyoshi told them to follow him. He would guide them all the way. Let them not stand pillar to post. The fire mages must prepare. Victor says he's stepping up and believes the guy. He said to have fire magic sent after them. If they escaped, they'd just be ridiculed. Everyone was ready. They would not endure any more ridicule. A group attack with fangs. Let the lad go. The toothy crocodiles scant to tear him to pieces. Tsuyoshi told the fire mages to concentrate all the power within a meter of him. They replied that everything had been accepted. After that, there was a massive explosion. The attack was cut short. Victor was greatly surprised that the guy had defeated 6 enemies. His new thunder chain has a paralyzing effect on enemies. In this state, they cannot use skills. Any attacks against them do double damage. The concentration of firepower at one point multiplied the power of the attributes, making it easier for them to deal with. All thanks to the divine eye. The analysis of the divine eye had been completed. How could he come up with a strategy so quickly? Would they really be able to mop up this dungeon? Or what? He took advantage of their weakness, interrupted the offensive, and dealt with them with a massive fire attack. He had pulled it off again, just like in that dungeon. Victor knew the kid could do it again. The captain couldn't believe that a guy at level 9 with such skills was even like this. Luke said the protagonist was just lucky. That's all. No one would have been able to analyze the situation so accurately under those circumstances. Doesn't he realize that it's unbelievable? Everyone saw it with their own eyes. So why is he so stubborn? Victor asked why he shouldn't just shut up. He was only embarrassing them. Vidya, the captain, became furious and asked what the man had said. Tsuyoshi said that they didn't have time to bicker with someone like him. Let everyone follow him. They would pass the high level of difficulty. The captain started to run and asked if they had heard everything. Luke stayed by himself and started asking to be waited on. Let them all follow Captain Tsuyoshi. They passed the high level. 30 minutes later in the Swamp Shadows dungeon. All previous teams have lost at this exact spot. What are they going to do now? The monsters here are high-level monsters of the Darkness Zone. They have never encountered such monsters before. He doesn't know how he knows all this, but they almost lost because of him. The Big Goats team just won't let it go. Thanks to his resources and analysis, they had taken almost no damage. It had been impossible before. Doesn't he realize that this is unbelievable? How could he even say such a thing? After all, the captain told Veer, let him not forget. He is Vidya, the captain. He takes the place of the leader only temporarily and just takes care of their team as Vidya, the captain. Harvey said, both of them silent, for they were distracting Captain Tsuyoshi. There was a false impression of the guy's concentration. The analysis of the god monster has been completed. It is impossible to bypass the swamp. It was recommended that one team member be tasked with distracting the god monster while the rest of the team advanced. In that case, it would be even easier than he thought. Detailed results. The area of the swamp is about 300 square meters. The depth of the shallowest point 24 centimeters. The deepest 126 centimeters. The average depth 84 centimeters. The optimal route is made. The depth of the bog along the route does not exceed 40 centimeters. This is the fastest and safest way. What a joke analysis. The capabilities of the divine depend on its combat power. He had memorized the results. Time to make a plan. Warning. There are 15 monsters hiding along the route. Have him disarm them for the safety of the road. Movement through the swamp will slow down, but due to his absolute fitness and leg strength, he can move at a normal pace. Exposure to the swamp's high electrical conductivity increases the effectiveness of the thunder chain. Let him concentrate power in his legs to attract monster and lure them into the combat zone. During combat, have him fly in behind the analysis and aim for their weak points. The plan will be adjusted depending on the situation. Like the president said, they're working together for mutual benefit. He's not a temporary leader. If they are not satisfied with something, they can leave, and he will not stop them. Well, since he's the captain and leader here now, let him follow his instructions. Luke said that a guy who just knows a little bit about monsters should calm down and say everything when he gets out of the dungeon. Right now, everyone wants to get through it as soon as possible. Luke was furious at the damn level 9 rookie. In the past, his spirit might have been broken by someone like him. There will always be people in the world who oppress the weak and those who pose a threat. Such born anger cannot be avoided or explained away. He used to be their victim, like Karina and many others. The only way out of this situation is to become stronger by multiplying what he used to be. Tsuyoshi said there was enough idle chatter to reach the next point. They would have to cross a swampy area. The captain said that when he was halfway through and saw the path leading to the entrance of the next point. To get there, they should beware of the darkness zone monsters that always attack unexpectedly. If something goes wrong, they will have to use the horn of return. In the worst-case scenario, not everyone can survive. Tsuyoshi said that the area was unfamiliar to them and definitely dangerous. But they had nothing to worry about. The man asked if he had a plan. He's going to distract the monsters while they lead the others forward. He'll catch up with them later. Victor asked if he was going to single-handedly distract all the monsters. It's already too dangerous. He respects his strength, but they don't even know how many there are. He can't agree to such a reckless plan. Luke started laughing and said he thought the guy had come up with another grand plan, but it turns out he was just pathetic. Anyone could have come up with one. Let him go, but don't let him think they'll rush to his rescue in case of danger. Tsuyoshi told Victor that there was one safe path. Have him memorize it and guide the others. How does he even know it? Distracting the monsters is only the first part of Natalie's plan. Let them go on their own. He'll catch up with them. Tsuyoshi said that he didn't want to waste time. Did he ever do anything mindlessly? Then everyone started looking at him as he walked away. He raised his hand and said they were waiting for his signal. Tsuyoshi then stepped into the swamp. He realized it was worse than he thought. But this kind of terrain, perfect for thunderous attacks. Luke asks if the captain trusts him, as a level 9 rookie, and if he can win against a whole horde of darkness zone monsters. He doesn't know, but he can't completely trust him, though he's set in his ways. Victor said he trusted him, and his level didn't matter here. Just let him follow his plan, because he had given him the exact route. There were 15 of them. Anyone who found themselves surrounded by the swarm of darkness zone monsters in the swamp froze with fear. At that moment, something appeared out of the water. It was a dark soul eater. Level 18. Classification: a monster mired in the swamp. Characteristics: nimble dark creatures, born in swamps, ambush passing prey. Do not underestimate them due to their low health, as their bite is deadly. Weakness: lightning and stabbing damage. Weakness: their bodies are saturated with water, making them virtually invulnerable to fire attacks. However, their bodies are vulnerable to stabbing attacks and lightning. Tsuyoshi mockingly apologized for wishing in front of them and told them to come out to him. After that, he began to fight them. He was good at it, so that's why nothing was known about them. Neither black as pitch and hiding in the swamp after every attack. They wouldn't be able to recognize their weak points. At this point, the guy started using a zipper. He received a notification that he had successfully repelled the monsters. Tsuyoshi realized that they were all gathered now. For ordinary seekers, this situation was deadly, but for the absolute physical strength, it wouldn't be a problem. The absolute physical strength was concentrated in their legs. Now they would be able to pass the swamp with ease. Have Harvey lead the others down the road he showed him. He was really able to distract all the monsters. Incredible agility. Why does he move so fast and not get stuck in the swamp? With this guy in the captain's videos, their team will be able to clear any dungeon. He's definitely their temporary leader. At this point, Victor was happy and said that now they believed him or what. Luke realized that he really hadn't underestimated the guy. The captain tells them not to stand still, and they walk on while the guy distracts them. Then they started running. He successfully repelled all the monsters. He's brought them into the combat zone. In this combat zone, he's gonna take them out. Only stabbing attacks work on them. Then he would combine them with thunder attacks and leave them no chance. The protagonist then attacked the monster again. Some of them got out of the water at this point. They've already picked a time, so there's no rush. They did it. They came out of the swamp. They had never gotten this far, and neither had the other teams. The captain couldn't believe they'd actually made it through. Victor said the boss's lair is right in front of them. They made it to the boss's lair. It was unbelievable and no one believed it. This boss seemed too difficult. The swamp must have been the hardest part of this dungeon. Everyone can't wait to get there. But didn't Captain Tsuyoshi tell him to wait? Victory is right in front of them, but they won't lose either way. Need to show the captain what they can do. Sure, but this is a high level of difficulty. Luke said at this point that they had calmed down and didn't have to wait for Captain Tsuyoshi. Everyone was very much surprised that he called him that. What was wrong with him? He trusts his efforts. They've only made it this far because of him, and his strength is undeniably impressive. Now that they've reached the boss area, it's worth waiting for the captain and going in together. At this point there was silence. The captain said that even he finally trusted him. Better to be careful than sorry. They're waiting for Captain Tsuyoshi. It was the right decision. It would be safer that way. At that moment, Tsuyoshi came back to them and asked if they were waiting for him. He had already dealt with all the monsters. The boss is quite close. This is where they can split up. Need to finish this high difficulty level dungeon. He really defeated them single-handedly. He was incredibly strong. Who was this captain? He had forgotten that he was only level 9. To be honest, Victor didn't know anything about him either. Harvey said that when they pass this dungeon, it would be worth advising his master Kurdi. Swamp Shadow Dungeon. At that moment, the Swamp Guardian, boss, level 18, appeared. Characteristics. Has a high health score, which doubles on difficult levels. Skill. Swamp Haze. Creates small swamps for a short time, making it difficult for enemies to move. Weakness. Fire, lightning and magic damage. Weakness analysis. Swamp Haze skill takes time to activate, so it can be interrupted with high-level magic. Careful preparation and the use of items that cause bleeding or poisoning can make it much easier. The main character asked, "Isn't there a gate leading to the boss? Would that be possible on a high difficulty level?" A high level does not guarantee the existence of these gates. The presence of a pass to the boss depends not on the difficulty level, but on its strength, so the pass can be even in a mid-level dungeon. I see. So it's only the strength of the boss that matters. The huge gate he saw in the topic area when he got Cardioles is probably rare. That class gives him an overwhelming sense of fear for some reason. After all, the captain said they were going to the boss. Victory is right in front of them. The main character told them to wait. Have Harvey call in the nimble members of the team. At this point, he brought them all together. Victor asked if he had a plan. He was so excited. Let them listen carefully. Harvey and Luke would fight the monsters as usual. Mages will pair up and use their strongest magic at the battle signal. Have them distribute the bleed and poison debuffs to dexterous fighters. The already high health has doubled due to the increased difficulty level, so using debuffs will make the fight much easier. Let them surround the boss and use them. It will distract his attention and he will deal with him quickly. Have the mages follow him and prepare to interrupt this monster's attacks. Have them divide into teams, calculate their recovery time, and stand in staggered order. How on earth does he know all this? He's intimidating. Does he see that he said Captain Tsuyoshi would have no trouble clearing the dungeon? They can't rely on him. The protagonist said fine. We need to defeat the boss as soon as possible. The big goat entered the dungeon with the young warrior still on a high difficulty level. At high levels, the entrance to a dungeon lights up red, making it more visible and exposing the team's skills. So mindlessly activating a high difficulty level can cost not only lives but also reputation. Yes, this time they were led by a human warrior. Apparently, he's the one who activated the high difficulty level. That man must have tricked them. They couldn't even clear the medium level and now they had entered the hard level. Fools. They'll definitely use the return horn soon. Big goats. A team country made up of humans and beastmen, and now also led by a human. A team of humans in their territory. How absurd. They had lost their part long ago, but now that they were coming back, he would mock them in front of everyone. Inside the dungeon, there was a fierce boss battle going on at this moment. Victor asked if they shouldn't support them with magic. The protagonist said he knew how easy it was. Let them wait for his instructions. At that moment, Harvey was standing behind the boss. Everyone continued to bat with him like it was the last time. Then the boss began to pout dramatically. The protagonist gave the order for the second group of mages to attack. They immediately started using wind invasion and strong wave action. Luke wondered. Again? Had the captain foreseen this, too? High level of difficulty. 15 minutes later, the boss, the Swamp Guardian, was defeated. Of course, everyone was happy that they won. Unbelievable. They had finally cleared this dungeon. They credited the first sweep as their first sweep. They cleared the dungeon on the first try. Who is this Tsuyoshi? He should introduce him to Nikita's head. If he officially joins them, their achievements will skyrocket, and they should recommend him to the leader. He's incredibly powerful, somehow able to predict the behavior of monsters. They won't mop up anything with him. The main character has gotten a level increase, now level 10, and his combat power is 15k. He got all the experience points from defeating the boss and finally reached level 10. He is only 2 steps away from reaching his goal. He thinks he can do it. The owner of the Infinity Ring has reached level 10. Reward. A set of black cloaking armor. When a certain level was reached, a reward was given. It was a surprise to him. The black cloaking armor set is a practical set that can only be worn by holders of the Infinity Ring. It cannot be sold or traded. The effect of the set can transform depending on the wearer's wishes. The cloak can be applied with other sets, displaying the place of the cloaked ones. When the Fox Kit, the Beastman, is hidden, this kit appears instead. His body seems to have changed too. It's adjusting to his needs, or that he'll test it next time. Victor didn't realize who the handsome man was. The protagonist said that he just changed his equipment. Luke said that if he had shown up to the main character at the beginning and not called him weak, the captain would have wanted to ask him for a favor. The protagonist asked what other favor. At this point, everyone started talking about how they were coming out, filled with determination. Big Goats. Team Big Goat cleared the Swamp Shadows dungeon on a high difficulty level the first time through. Team Big Goat broke the record by completing the dungeon on high difficulty level in 150 minutes and 36 seconds. Swamp Shadow Dungeon, high difficulty level. First team, Big Goat, record. 150 minutes and 36 seconds. The captain of this team can check if it is really true that they are for a high-level teacher. At that point, they all came out. This was done by a human warrior in dark armor whom the Big Goat had appointed as the leader. They quickly frequented the dungeon. Such a young guy from some team making them look bad. It's been a while since they've been surrounded by such attention, and it's all thanks to the guy who promises to introduce them to Nikita and recommend them to the leader. Victor approached him and said that everyone was talking about him now. The protagonist replied that since he had come into this world, this was the second time he was even a little weirded out. Victor asked if he was still here. He apologized, but the Big Goats had just become the first, and who had passed this dungeon and set a record. He believed it was because they had accepted a strong man. The protagonist asked what strong meant to the person he was talking about earlier. He apologized and said he was wrong. Please let him be forgiven. He would not want to join the guild, but working together would not accept the terms of how to address him. This guy wasn't easy. When the guild needed to mop up a high-level dungeon, his immense strength would come in handy. Have him share his contacts. Their guild wants to talk to him too. See if he wants to join the others, and they will reward him generously. Talented people were always in high demand. Even in his world, guilds fought over the strongest heroes. If he was strong, all roads were open to him wherever he went. Harvey said he would join their guild. Let everyone spread out. The city of the Beastmen to the north. At that moment, the main character and the others were walking through the city. Someone asked if this was a small goat from the Q Guild. When did Harvey have time to become a human? Who was this guy anyway? They had never seen him, but he was green for sure. Even though his level is unknown, it must be level 19. Harvey himself is level 18. He must be at least level 20. Tsuyoshi, level 10, told them to please wait. He promised Sakura that they would meet at the guild. He doesn't know where she is, but after the meeting he will go to the Q Guild. It would be nice to go there together. He wants to see her. The woman said she was on a diet, so she'd give up food. Then how about a drink? At least let her have a drink with them. She's been invited so many times, but she always refuses. At that moment, Tsuyoshi told them to let him pass. He was freaking out and said they were actually talking and he was going to get punished or something. Doesn't he know the order? But at this point he said he thought he'd seen it somewhere. The woman said it's the same guy. He's changed a lot. He's the one who took their assignment. Who did he steal that cape from? He must have spent all his money on it. Tsuyoshi asked if Sakura had come by. They were supposed to meet here. She didn't see her today. Other than those annoying guys, no one came by. He'd heard that besides them lefty guys, no one came by. not asked, or by calling the left guys guys. She meant them. She was glad it had gotten to them. He was pissed and asked how some bitch dared to make fun of them. Tsuyoshi asked if they could see that she was uncomfortable with them. He activated the absolute power. He was surprised that this guy was so strong, who he even was, and called him a reckless fool. There were guards inside, and he offered to go outside. Don't let him think he can show off just because he's wearing that cape. He'll disable it with one punch. Tsuyoshi said that Sakura was probably still. He apologized for the inconvenience. She told him to wait. If he comes out, they'll kill him. Keep him inside. The guards will protect him. But Tsuyoshi said it was fine. If he doesn't want them to knock him out right here, he can come out now. Man is making his own rules in the land of the Beastmen. How dare he? At this point, the guy was asked what was even going on. At this point, the guys were surprised that Tsuyoshi was the captain. The woman didn't understand who he even was either. The main character said it's no big deal. These guys got into a fight. At this point they all became furious and started asking what they had said. Were they picking a fight with their captain or what? Of course. They immediately started walking away and saying there was a miscommunication. Victor asked what was going on, and the protagonist replied that it didn't matter. His companion is not here. They're going to the guild. By the way, they are no longer in the dungeon. You shouldn't call him captain. The man laughed and said that nothing had changed. After all, in the guild meeting room, he wasn't congratulated on his first dungeon sweep and setting a record. A guild master, level 24, mage class, was asking the man if he wanted the man to join the sweep of the other dungeons. The man began to say that the guy had exceptional talent. Thanks to him, they were able to cope with a task that no one had been able to do for a long time. Therefore, they decided to invite him to their guild to help them with mopping up more difficult dungeons. Let him believe that it's worth it. Readum, one of the guild founders and a level 23 swordsman, asked if they were joking. They want the Beastmen team to be led by a human? That's absurd since they don't know him at all. They don't know if he's a spy from another guild. The main character asked what spies from another guild meant. Luke said that he was right. Captain Harvey and the guild master had founded their guild, so their opinion carried a lot of weight. Victor became furious and said that he had always thought them insignificant. Just because the master belongs to the race of beastmen and the captain is a human, maybe the master is not long-lived at all. If the captain hadn't been Tabor to them, they would have been long gone by now. The boy suggested changing the subject. Other teams go for high-level dungeons and rewards. With the help of the main character, they will have an advantage. Can't vouch for him, but his observation and analytical skills are simply impressive. Maybe they need another leader, but they don't need one. Haven't they brought their guild to the bottom? He understands why they trust. After all, they are human, so they understand each other well. What is this conversation even about? Only humans are capable of understanding each other. Harvey became furious and began to question what he was saying. Is he questioning his loyalty to the guild and team? Their team has worked hard for the good of the guild. Their abilities aren't as high as others, but they have been fighting for the guild for a long time. Their guild had become the subject of controversy, and with Harvey's mixed team, if the other guilds found out that they had chosen a man as their leader, their reputation would plummet. He asked the master if he realized this, and let him think about the future of the guild. How does he feel about it? The master said that perhaps they should heed Redum's suggestion. They don't respect the captain's opinion, but they should solve this problem on their own. They were hospitable to him. Harvey was disappointed with the decision. Then he said he understood him. The main character says he only came here for Captain Harvey and he has to go. He told the man not to worry. He had a solid team. Everyone looked at him. The captain looked at them. The main character said he was leaving, adding that he had fun fighting alongside them. Maybe fate will guide them and they will continue to level up. Redum told him to take care of himself. The captain asked him, didn't he realize that the guy had the power to change the guild's future? With his help, they would become much stronger, but they missed this opportunity. Redum laughed and said it was laughable. What is that man capable of? They were just lucky to clear that dungeon. It's been enough, and they're coming. The main thing is that they don't regret it. Tsuyoshi thought he could level up. Maybe he should go find Sakura first and apologize to her for tearing the t-shirt she was working hard on. At that moment, someone said that he had finally found him. The protagonist asked if he had been following him all this time and why. The beast dog who had mocked the guy said let him help him. Their guild had been given a tough assignment. The president ordered him to find a strong seeker, and he is perfect for the role. Their guild would welcome him with open arms. He couldn't forget after seeing his strength, the rewards and conditions. Maybe he would appoint one himself. Let him help. They were counting on him. The protagonist wondered about the rewards and conditions and asked what the assignment was. He didn't mind the opportunity to earn more money. The case is urgent. The mission is to rescue the kidnapped daughter of a wealthy merchant. Let him go with him. The guild master is waiting for him. At this point, the protagonist went with him. The protagonist asked if the guild was taking a mission to rescue a kidnapped man. Income is very important to any guild, and such jobs make up the bulk of the work. Adventurer guilds compete for high-paying jobs in the city. Their guild, Rhythm, is quite famous, but even for this order they had to fight for it. Fighting for an order implied that dampening it would pay 5 gold coins. The task previously completed with Sakura brought 3 gold coins, which was quite good. But it's not that simple. They're dealing with a very rich and well-known family throughout the city. Due to the urgency, the reward was increased 100 times, as much as 500 gold coins. They will be able to cover all the expenses of their guild for a year. If the protagonist helps, they will give him half. The protagonist was of course interested in this, and he immediately thought about how Sakura would be over the moon. He said they were going quickly, for there was work waiting for them. At that moment someone asked if the captain had spoken about him. Venton, a wealthy merchant from the North County, said it's been 3 days and the deadline for the order is tomorrow. What are they doing here anyway? If they don't fulfill the assignment, he will make them pay him a compensation of 10 times the reward, or else the passage to the Northern County will be closed to them. Don't underestimate him. Hugh says it's outrageous, and they're just working on a plan. Tomorrow they will save their daughter. 10 times the reward is 5,000 gold coins and they can't pay them that much. He freaked out and asked if they were still working out a plan. He had heard about their failure since day 1. Are they really making a fool of him? At this point, the dog was surprised that the customer had already arrived. The protagonist asked if it was the pumped-up guy. You can tell he's a rich man. Did they send a rescue team or what? Yes, right after they took the order. But it's hard to move stealthily in the mountains, and they didn't send 15 people with levels at least 20. The vice master of the guild joined them and they were confident that they could do it, but they couldn't even reach the enemy's lair. They encountered a huge number of traps in unfamiliar territory. The group of attackers consisted of 2 people, roughly level 19, and their level 25 berserk leader. They could have been dealt with face to face, but were ultimately defeated. After that, 3 more rescue teams were not sent out, but each of them failed. The protagonist began to say that they needed to clean up this lair. There was no noticeable prey in their team after the first failure. The enemy must have believed in themselves and prepared for their arrival. Later, they realized that they should take the enemy not by force, but after losing so many times, time was running out, so the master urgently called for him. They only have 1 chance. If they fail, she could die. Their guild's reputation would be completely ruined and they would be mired in debt. Please let him help them. The protagonist told him to calm down. The victim is in the mountains among many traps guarded by level 19 warriors and a ringleader. But with his divine eye and copied skills, everything should work out. The victim's skill requires too much energy. You need to change it. He reiterated that if he failed, they would have to compensate him 10 times the reward and disband the guild. The main character realized he was fixated on money and never said a word about his daughter. Let them answer. If they can't, let them prepare 5,000 gold pieces. The man said that he couldn't find 5,000 gold so quickly and asked them to calm down. Let them prepare a plan. They will definitely find it. At this point, someone will win. But why can't they save her? Tsuyoshi showed up and said she would be rescued and they would bring her back tomorrow. The millionaire asked the master who he was, and wished to hear what words the man was throwing around. At this point, the man said he was telling on him and agreed to help. Yes, it was just him. And the millionaire asked if there was such a person in the Beastmen guild. They'll see what they say tomorrow, but let them not forget that failure will cost them 5,000 gold. Tsuyoshi told Venton that he was offering to make a deal. If he could save his daughter, he would raise the reward to 1,000 gold coins. Is he crazy or what? Does he think he can fool him? The main character said that if he lost, he will pay him 50,000 gold pieces, 10 times what he is asking for. Does he agree? At this point, of course, everyone was very much surprised. The millionaire said he suggested it himself. He agrees. If he saves her, the reward is doubled, and if he fails, he owes him 50,000 gold pieces. The contract has been changed. Have him sign it here immediately. 5,000 gold or 50,000 gold. They have no choice. Emil, the millionaire, said they would know the result tomorrow. He asked the foreman why on earth he had signed it. At this moment, he told the man that he had put their guild in a hopeless situation. It's not easy. How did he get so much confidence in him? The protagonist said that who knows, maybe he has a chance. What does a chance mean with 50,000 at stake? The president of the Shaman Association has arrived. Have them let him in now. The protagonist asked the president of the Shaman Association if he was not mistaken. At this point, the president of the Northern Shamans Association, named Doug, asked Guildmaster Pace and Vice Master Hugh Gagini how they were doing. He was told they were in trouble and invited him to sit down to help heal his wound. Their guild's healer was already failing. Please let him help. He's figured it out and hopes the Vice Master is okay. He heard he led the team himself, which is what caused that injury. Is this about Vanton's order or what? His daughter was kidnapped, right? The order is a difficult one. At this rate the guild may suffer, and his wounds are healing. What did Doug expect? The protagonist said the situation was tough but was sure they would get better, and then told Doug that they were getting back together. At this point he was surprised and asked the guy what he was doing here, and the others were surprised that they already knew each other. Then he told, and the president answered him, which meant he had been asked to help with a difficult order. The president thinks the guy can do it. The protagonist thanked for the trust and said he would do his best. I think they're the two of them close. Let the president not get close to anyone. He used a bunch of connections just to invite him here. So who is this Tsuyoshi guy? He doesn't know, but he seems to be much stronger than they thought. He suggested that the lad should stay here. His experience might come in handy, and as vice master he should keep an eye on him. The protagonist said he was fine with it. Most of his wounds should have healed by now, and they are coming. Let them be careful. At this point, the president was asked if he knew the main character. They hadn't heard that the guy was strong, so they called him for help. They were looking into the matter. The president said he knows him. He recently passed the White Shaman exam. He's the youngest White Shaman in the Northern District and the most talented he's ever seen. He is an incredibly strong warrior, the only one in his memory who has managed to obtain Cardioles. Everyone was very much surprised that the guy was a White Shaman and had gotten Cardioles on his own. The president said he was much stronger than they all thought. At this point they asked him what his plan was, for the sun would be setting soon. Let him warm up. They put everything on the line. He himself decided to raise the bet to 50,000 without even consulting him. This is starting to get on his nerves. How can he be so cocky? Tsuyoshi said that he understood his worries. Preparation is really important. After all, he knows the place well. Let him lead the way. He asked where they were going. Does he want to resupply or what? They have 2 healing potions and 2 normal items, so they don't need to buy anything. The guild won't reimburse their expenses. Tsuyoshi told him to walk him to the arena. He was surprised, because the guy wants to watch the fight. Is he joking or what? Warrior is ineligible for this order. They were in position. Let them be reminded that they were running out of time. If they failed, there was no turning back. What kind of fights are going on today in general? Tsuyoshi said he didn't come here as a spectator. He wants to participate. Please have him registered. What do you mean he wants to participate? What's he talking about? That was stupid. If his intention is serious, let him go inside, fill out the form and pay the entrance fee. Tsuyoshi wants to use the divine selection system to gain the assassin skill. For this task, he needs someone who can break through and defeat the enemies without attracting too much attention. He will choose the most suitable assassin skill and copy it. At this point, everyone was in anticipation of the battle. One-armed Naruto, tribe of felines, level 21, shadow assassin class. The Beastmen tribe, a roaring warrior, told him, let him not keep him waiting. He has only 1 arm, but he is fast and a challenging opponent. The cat said the man was attacking him. Afterward, he used heroic ray and said he was fired. No time for complicated strategies. It is a mighty roar that lifts the spirit and fighting strength of the wielder and his allies. Attacks filled with fierce power break the will of enemies. At this moment, the cat was looking at him intently, and after that, with the speed of light, he went after him. He couldn't hit him at all at that point and just couldn't keep up with him. A surprise attack was then used against him. This is a unique assassin guild skill that is said to have been created by the legendary assassin Nightjazzle. The holder of this skill transforms into a shadow, sneaks up on the enemy from behind, and strikes a deadly blow. Its effectiveness depends on the type of weapon, but daggers are preferred. The cat said they couldn't attack. This is the end, and Naruto has won again. Let the healer help him. At this point, everyone began to cheer his victory. They were all discussing his sudden strength. I heard that he came from the east. No wonder he was so strong. Tsuyoshi noticed this interesting skill. The orc told him that he didn't stand a chance against this assassin. He comes from the east and has become especially famous lately. His record in the arena is 21 wins and 6 losses. For 3 months now, he has been ranked number 1 in the light class arena. Most guilds dream of hiring him. Tsuyoshi asked, "Are the assassins of the East really that strong?" Hadn't he heard of the assassins of the East? There are many secret guilds on this continent. The Eastern Assassin Guild is just one of them. Naruto came from there. They say he lost his arm and doesn't know why he was kicked out of the guild. But there's no mercy for him. Tsuyoshi said that the Assassin Guild sounds mysterious. It is. You can only learn about it in detail from its members. The next newcomer is his first fight in the arena. Tsuyoshi has asked to spar with an assassin. Unfortunately, he will have to fight Naruto. This fight will be exciting. Everyone, of course, started laughing that the guy would bat without experience. Let him go alone and train. The man is a clown. Even their Beastmen warriors can't beat Naruto. Money has paved the way for even such a weakling. Let them start. He has no patience anymore. Naruto asked if he didn't have any experience. Is he crazy or what? He can't believe the kid would fight Naruto. There's no way he'd beat him. He's seen the last fight. The arena healer won't let him die, but it'll hurt. Tsuyoshi said that experience doesn't matter. The outcome can't be predicted either way. Let him stop being a tough guy already. Where does he get all this confidence from? Naruto asked again if he had 0 experience. He advises him to give up, but if he straight up wants to fight, he won't get in the way. Tsuyoshi said yes, and motioned to begin. Rookie versus one-armed Naruto. The fight is on. He doesn't like to make fun of newbies, so he'll finish quickly. Let him show the rookie a real fight. Let him finish him in a second. They want to see the next fight soon. Let him deal with this rookie. Tsuyoshi noticed that Naruto had incredible speed and would do the usual. Absolute physical strength activated. The defense of the entire body increased. Divine Eye activated. Enemy analysis has begun. Just at that moment, Naruto bounced sharply away from him. Tsuyoshi asked what was the matter. No one could understand what was the matter. What was going on? Why is he bullying the newcomer or what? Naruto didn't realize who he was. A second ago he had seemed weak, but a moment before, a powerful aura began to emanate from him. His gaze became terrifying. Tsuyoshi asked what's up. Is he giving up already or what? Then he'll start first. He can't read his next move. This rookie is far from easy. The absolute copy skill has improved. It can now copy enemy skills during combat. His absolute copy skill has improved. He can now copy skills in combat. Previously, he had to touch the opponent's heart, so it was a bit difficult. What will he try now? He'll tell you what Naruto can do. Why is he so enthusiastic? We have to be careful with him. The Assassin Thief skill temporarily increases dexterity and allows the wielder to repel attacks by quickly thwarting them. That was excellent. Tsuyoshi went on the attack. Naruto realized that he had been bluffing. Now it was over. He used a surprise attack. The protagonist said that's how it is. And after that, he began to attack the enemy as well. The absolute defense is concentrated in the neck. Naruto didn't understand why the guy didn't hurt himself. Everyone present couldn't understand what it was either. Naruto didn't understand what it was. Was the guy here really the strongest? The protagonist said they were great skills and he would choose. Absolute copying activated. Let's say he chooses a skill to copy. He copied the surprise attack skill, which can be improved to thunderous surprise attack depending on the weapon and attributes. The opponent is an athletic fellow. What did he do? Why didn't his dagger leave a scratch on him? Tsuyoshi said it was a long story. Now it was his turn. The protagonist said for the enemy to receive an attack immediately. Naruto didn't realize what it was, for it was his skill. The main character used a thunderous surprise attack. Of course, the enemy was very much surprised and could not react in any way. The protagonist said not bad. With this skill, he would be able to save the merchant's daughter. At this point, it was announced that the main character was the winner. Outside the arena, he said it was unbelievable. He must have better equipment. Thanks to her, his body became more agile and fast like an assassin's. He gained the characteristics of an assassin. It's getting dark, and he's sure he won't be able to handle the order at night. It's hard to unload something in the dark, isn't it? But Tsuyoshi said he would see everything clearly. Let him go. The fortress to which Vanton's daughter was taken is farther away. The kidnapping has been a few days. I wonder how his daughter is doing. Judging by the location of this fortress, previous failures surprise him. No matter how many times they tried to save it, they were constantly defeated. The terrain, the traps set by the enemy make this fortress defensible and difficult to assault. The road to the entrance is comparable to a nightmare, and one local guild doesn't stand a chance. He had seen the new dagger. Even with it, this order would not be easy to fulfill. How does he plan to attack them if there are only 2 of them? At this point, he couldn't figure out where the main character had gone. The guild is still trying to save her. Nothing their lives teach them. They'll probably come tomorrow. Even they sometimes have trouble spotting the traps. They're deadly to outsiders. Trespassers won't get in here easily. No one can get around the traps. At this moment, the protagonist activated the divine eye. There are 9 trigger traps and 6 automatic traps on the path to Cajon. The trigger traps are illuminated. It seems that the divine eye has also improved. It can see all the traps now. The protagonist started walking forward. A set of black camouflage armor. When he puts on the cape, it turns into a mask that can be disabled if needed. The protagonist has landed on the ground. That impressed him a lot. The divine selection system is incredibly convenient. He successfully passed the trigger trap, a falling log. Now he decided to deal with them one by one. After that, he did something. They immediately heard some sound, and one of them told him to check if it was an intruder. It's probably some kind of animal. If she's set the trap, have her kill it. He'll go and check it out. Let the newcomer not panic. In such an hour no one would dare attack their fortress. He thought it was probably just another deer. They'd messed up 3 last time. They're gone. He wasn't going to let it go that easily. From this distance, the protagonist can use the kunai that Hugh gave him. Divine Consciousness Inventory. Kunai. 29 to go. Just at that moment, the main character appeared behind the man. The protagonist then attacked him. Of course, right after that, he started falling. Absolute physical form activated. Arm strength increased by 120% with level increase. As he sneaks around, damage dealt increases by 30%. A critical hit can deal a fatal blow to the heart. The protagonist mentally said that the next one was going to him. He successfully passed the trap, falling rocks. The protagonist then landed on his feet. One of them said their comrade had not yet returned. Was he chilling somewhere again or what? What a lazy bastard. He's gonna bring him in. The boss will be furious if he finds out. At this moment one of them was singing some song. He dreams of him in the quiet nights. Then he heard something. But he noticed that no one was here. Tsuyoshi instantly knocked him out, and was now alone. The last one said for them to come out. Don't try to scare him or anything. Let them respond and start activating the traps. He felt uneasy somehow. Had an intruder sneaked in? The main character Mameda showed up and said he wouldn't let him activate the traps. He then used a thunderous surprise attack. Absolute physical form has been activated. 130% of strength is concentrated in the right hand. Damage enhancement increases the damage of surprise attack by 30%. Attacking at the weak point of surprise attack can kill the enemy in one hit. Now he wondered, are there really that many traps here? The divine eye is activated. There are 6 traps on the way to the entrance. They were surprised that the guy was so strong. At this point, the protagonist said he would leave after him. Let him wait, and beware of the remaining traps along the way. Let him push on over there. Get under the line. How does he know the location of the traps? Has he already overpowered the guards or what? He suggested destroying the other traps since they were already here. Tsuyoshi said they would need them later. He told the man to follow him. They would find their boss. Just at that moment, the traps were instantly activated. The man then said he caught one of them. Tsuyoshi caught it at the very last moment. It was the farthest fortress. Venton's daughter must be inside. They seem strong. If they're circling, it's not going to end well. But without him, he would have died here long ago. He is gaining his life to him. Tsuyoshi said he could not have done otherwise. Now let him distract them. He was surprised, but afterwards said that it seemed their paths had now parted. Tsuyoshi said he wasn't a pawn to him, remembering the traps they left untouched. Because of that, he wondered if the guy had decided to keep them for him. He had labeled them. After all, Tsuyoshi said yes. Fortresses like this always have strong defenses, and they wouldn't set up a base here. Great. The divine eye reported the situation to him. These traps will work great. They'll do serious damage. Have him leave the boss with him. It would be dawn soon. They didn't have much time left. He understood everything and thanked him for his concern for the welfare of their guild. As vice master, he was grateful. At this point, they were saying it was Yunak customarily quiet tonight. Fine. At this point he attacked them. The vice master turned to them and said that today he would destroy their fortress. Let them attack, you cowardly bastards. They recognized this archer immediately. How dare he talk to them like that? They would kill him with their own hands, tear him to pieces and eat him. Of course, the vice master hadn't expected such a reaction. He told them to attack. They would never catch him. The protagonist at this point told him that if he was caught, he was finished. Then the protagonist came out of hiding. First he has to make sure the girl was inside. At this point, she was asking if it was true that the princess had eaten a bad apple from a wicked witch. Ida the ferocious leopard was asking if she had eaten an apple from a stranger. Tsuyoshi was very much surprised. The girl said there was no way she could have felt bad for him. Then she told her not to look there. She asked if he wanted to play. She was fine with that. What did he expect from a leopard beastman? He immediately used a devastating stinging attack. He then said that it seemed the guy wasn't from the Rhythm Guild. Who was he anyway? Let her answer or else she would die. Tsuyoshi asked if he had told her stories. He thought they had kidnapped her. Had they not? Tsuyoshi and the guy stood across from each other. Why would a child abductor engage in such behavior? It's weird what's going on here. He asked Oles. The guy was an assassin. He had silently walked through all the traps and disarmed the guards. That impressed him. Tsuyoshi said that he came on behalf of the Rhythm Guild to rescue Venton's daughter they kidnapped. Let him give her back. He's just fulfilling an order. So he offers to settle things peacefully. But the man told him that he refused to do so. What did he expect from Bursk? They do not tolerate idle chatter. This class fights fiercely and recklessly. He can't waste time. If his allies come back, they'll be in trouble. At that point, a knockdown punch was used against him. The divine eye was activated, analyzing the movements. Tsuyoshi jabs away from his opponent's attack at this moment, and he, in turn, was very much surprised. What incredible speed the guy had. After that, Tsuyoshi used a thunderous surprise attack on him. Then there was a massive explosion. Even by the judges of analyzing the divine lesson, he can respond to its attacks. Its precision of movement like a leopard. His sword nearly shredded his arm. This man possesses tremendous speed, strength, and strategy. His level is definitely lower than him. He's an experienced assassin. But then why, of all weapons, does he use a simple sword? Tsuyoshi suggested to finish it as quickly as possible and used physical strength. The strength of his arms was increased. The opposing party agreed and said the guy was assaulting him at the time. At this point a girl appeared and asked what they were doing here. The man's face immediately changed. He told her not to go out. Let her go back to her room. Tsuyoshi noticed it. Hadn't he kidnapped her? Why be so affectionate with her? Why act as if she was very dear to him? At this point, the girl asked if he had hurt himself. He said he had accidentally cut himself with his sword. She then started telling the main character not to hurt Uncle, because he was good. Edie told him that as he could see, it was not that simple. Tsuyoshi said he had come to save her. He wasn't bad. The guy noticed that Karina was looking at him the same way as she flooded out. She doesn't want to be rescued. She's fine with her good uncle. She doesn't want to go back. Tsuyoshi asked if he could finally explain what was going on here. Would they continue fighting or would they still talk? He answered him that they would talk inside. He would tuck her in first. She gets scared if he doesn't read her a bedtime story. At that moment a candle was burning in the room. She finally fell asleep. Tsuyoshi said that she had grown quite attached to him. This wasn't a simple kidnapping, after all. He then said he was working for Vanton in his secret gang. Tsuyoshi didn't understand why he had kidnapped his daughter then. He said that for the sake of money, to shake down the other guilds for huge compensation. Most importantly, Tsuyoshi understood everything. That's why he thought it was strange. It was all set up. Vanton came up with this money-making scheme. Not kidnap a child, but a millionaire creates a mission to rescue her with a high reward. No guild would take on a mission involving a gang like them, as the local guilds wouldn't have the strength to simply enter this fortress. The traps and mechanisms Venton set personally, Tsuyoshi said, meaning he had fortified the defenses so that no local guild would be able to fulfill the order within the time limit. Interesting. But after the payment is made, everyone can see the child safely returned home to his parents if anyone finds out that the child is safe. Rather than, Venton stole a newborn baby, raising it as his own for the sake of the plan. To him, a used child no longer has value, so he sees no reason to let it live. Tsuyoshi asked if he meant to say that the man was planning to kill her. But why is the girl so attached to him? Because he was the one who kidnapped her and secretly cared for her. As she grew older, guilt grew in him. If Venton accomplishes his goal, what fate awaits this girl? He could just run away with her, couldn't he? But meeting the man was crucial. He was hungry and homeless, gave him clothes and a chance to train. He couldn't be the man who had turned him into a true warrior. Tsuyoshi asked if he thought there was no freedom in this world. Everyone lives for one purpose or another. Her so-called father is completely indifferent. He would be a real parent to her. He should cut all ties with Venton to avoid it would be better for both of them. If he hadn't saved her, she would have been dead long ago. But this girl is important to him. He asked if he would pay him that debt over the years. Let him take her and run. Let him give her and himself a new life. What does he even realize? Venton will never forgive him. He'll hire an assassin to catch them. Does he think they can just start a new life? Tsuyoshi told him not to worry. He understands perfectly well. Taking care of someone is hard, but you have to keep believing in the best. Don't give up hope. In that case, Tsuyoshi said that if he failed, he would help him. He wouldn't let a bastard like Venton hurt him or the girl. At this point, the man was saying where he had been all along. They were distracted. As he said, they couldn't do without the trap. Here he could thanks to his honey. Led his silly faces. Why is he alone? Didn't he save Venton's daughter or something? Something didn't work out for them. This is definitely the end. Tsuyoshi says it's worked out. The girl is safe, going back to the guild, and he'll report back to the master. He will return when he receives the reward from Venton. The master will be mad. We must tell him soon. He will be waiting for him at the guild hall. He is a good boy. Tsuyoshi said fine, and it's time to talk to Venton. At this point in the house, Venton said his income had dropped noticeably lately. It might be worth refining the kidnapping scheme. At that moment, someone told him it was no use to him now. Tsuyoshi said he had come to take his life. Venton started yelling and asking for help. Tsuyoshi said it was useless to call for help.